When the lights go down, I've seen hell in you, but you don't care, no, you don't care, no. You just rather watch me fall. From a quarter mile, I can see you at the call. Think about it, ring won't tell you what I saw. When you break it off, you'll see who had it all. You had it all. You said you wanted to fall into oblivion. Forget about the world we're living in. Fall into oblivion, 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 oblivion. I'm going in. Fall into oblivion. Fall into oblivion. Forget about the world we're living in. Fall into oblivion, 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 oblivion. I'm going in. You can't fall asleep when you're counting stars. Get it together. Your mind can't sleep when you let it serve. I know you wanna see me fall. From a quarter mile, I can see you at the call. Think about it, ring won't tell you what I saw. When you break it off, you'll see who had it all. You had it all. You said you wanted to fall into oblivion. Forget about the world we're living in. Fall into oblivion, 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 oblivion. I'm going in. Fall into oblivion. Fall into oblivion. Forget about the world we're living in. Fall into oblivion, 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 oblivion. I'm going in. When the lights go down, I've seen hell in you, but you don't care, no, you don't care, no. You just rather watch me fall.
guys, we are back now for day 4 of the Crumbley trial. It's already started, so we're a little bit behind, but we're going to play catch up. Hopefully, with the lunch break, we should be able to get caught up here. So that's the obvious goal here. That by the time lunch is over, we should be hopefully caught up with the live broadcast. We'll see if that comes to pass. Maybe running a little late for today. May tune it up to 1.25 just to try to help that process out, but we'll see. I like to kind of keep it normal if I can. But like I said, I felt day 3 was a good day for the defense. It looks like today, looking at what I've seen through, we're going to be seeing the flight evidence coming in today. We're going to see some evidence of James Crumbley's interactions with the police at his house. And then I think, like I said, we are on a trajectory. I believe that the state will probably rest today. And then we'll see if the defense has anything to present. If they don't, we could be, I think, a very strong chance we're in closing arguments tomorrow. So I don't think it's going to happen today by any means, based on the fact that they're still going through witnesses right now before lunch. But you never know. If the state were to rest right now, they could be closing this afternoon. That's a possibility, of course. But I guess we'll be on standby to see what happens and see who the state calls next when we get done. So with that introduction, let's jump into the courtroom and get started.
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, ready for who's the next witness?
Detective Adam Stoyak.
All right, ready for the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
I think we all turn that on every time.
Yes, thank you.
All rise for the jury.
Morning, may be seated. Investigator, who's the next witness?
Detective Adam Stoyak.
Would you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth to help you God?
I do.
All right, please step up. Have a seat. And then would you state your name for the record and spell your first and last name?
Adam Stoyak, ADAMSTOYEK.
Go ahead, prosecutor.
Thank you. Judge, while we get started, we're going to see if we can
Oh.
check the connection here.
There's something down in the chambers too. Is that connected at all? John, come up over here. You don't bring me to calls. Yeah. I'm of no use. This turn is not.
Spell your full name.
Adam Stoyak, ADAMSTOYEK.
Thank you, sir. And how are you employed?
I'm a detective with the Oakland County Sheriff's Office. I'm assigned to the city of Pontiac.
Okay. How long have you been a police officer?
12 years, right around 12 years.
And how long have you been a detective?
Right around 4 years.
Okay. You said you're assigned to Pontiac?
Yeah, the city of Pontiac substation.
Okay. Now, I want to direct your attention to November the 30th, 2021. Do you remember that day?
I do.
Okay, were you working?
I was.
We heard testimony yesterday regarding a search warrant at 112 East in Oxford, the Crumbley family home. Did you participate in that search warrant?
I did.
Okay. Now, if you could tell us, please, what happens when a house is secured for a search warrant?
Yeah, so securing a house prior to getting the search warrant, you're going to go initially and just kind of do an initial sweep of the house to make sure no one's inside the house, no one's injured inside of the house, and then after that you're just going to secure the house until you get the authorization from the judge, just for like preservation of evidence and make sure that if there is evidence inside the house that it's not tampered with.
Okay, and did you do that in this case?
I did.
And who else was with you?
Detective McPherson, Detective Steele, Detective Peschke, Deputy Zajac, Deputy Mozak, and Brett Brandon was there too.
From the ATF?
Correct.
Okay. Now, when you were sent to that location, did you know what would be found there?
No.
Okay. And when were you assigned with this task?
After we initially searched the school, my supervisor at the time was Sergeant Hicks. He gathered a few of us up and said to go to 112 East Street, secure the residence.
Okay. So you responded to the school first, and then you were tasked with securing the residence at 112 East in Oxford?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been admitted as People's 270. Sir, is this a photograph? This photograph fairly accurately depicts the address at 112 East?
It does.
Okay. Describe the layout for us of that home.
Yeah, so it's when you walk in here, that's the front of the residence that faces East Street. You walk in, to your immediate right, there's a living room area with a couch, there was a TV. You walk into the left, it was like the dining room, there was a table, chairs. Through that, there was a kitchen. Off the kitchen, there was 2 bedrooms, one on the right, one on the left, the bathroom.
I'm going to show you what's been admitted as well as 205. Is this a sketch of the home?
Correct.
Okay. And so we have a front entrance at the top of the diagram here.
Correct.
Okay. Can you just walk us through here?
Yeah, so where the sheriff's emblem sign is there is the front of the residence. You walk in, this would be on the left of this picture here is the living room. There's some couches, there's a TV stand, a table. To the right there of that was the dining room. There's like a kitchen table, some chairs. I think there was some workout equipment in there. Past that, there's a little opening right there which led to the kitchen, refrigerator island, some cabinets. So right there to the left would be the entrance. There's a little hallway to 2 bedrooms. There's 1 bedroom, that's north bedroom. There's a bathroom in between that. And then across the hallway there was labeled middle bedroom. Was the bedrooms. And then you come out of there, there was a little hallway. There was an opening to like the landing that led to the basement, the foyer. And then it was what was the master bedroom was immediately past that.
Okay. Now, prior to participating in the search of this home, did you learn which bedrooms were associated with the shooter?
I did.
Which ones?
So in this picture here, you'd see north bedroom was one of the shooter's bedrooms, and then directly across the hallway, which is labeled middle bedroom there, was also the shooter's bedroom.
Okay, so his rooms were, what we have labeled here is north bedroom and then middle bedroom. Both are adjacent to the bathroom, and middle bedroom is adjacent to the master bedroom. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now tell us, when you first entered the home to secure it for a search warrant, did you see anything of note?
Yeah, so obviously you're kind of just doing the search, but you're obviously still, if you see things, you take a mental note of what you see. And when I walked into what I was described as the master bedroom, there was an open 6-hour gun box on the bed, and next to that was an empty box of 9mm ammunition on the bed as well.
Did you touch that?
I did not, no.
Okay. So when you see something like that, what do you do?
Yeah, you just kind of take a mental note of it, and obviously once you get the authorization from the judge and the search warrant, you're going to go search the house, and my partner and I were tasked with searching that bedroom, so we were aware before we came in.
So after the home was secured and you confirmed that, well, first of all, when it was secured, did you encounter either James or Jennifer Crumbley?
I did. I had a brief encounter with James Crumbley.
Okay, is he in court today?
He is.
Can you please point to him and describe something he's wearing?
He's wearing the suit with the blue shirt and the blue tie.
Your Honor, with the record reflect identification defendant.
The record was so reflect.
Tell us where you encountered James Crumbley at when you arrived on scene.
When I initially got there, he was secured in, I don't remember who, Deputy Mozak or Deputy Zajac's patrol vehicle.
Okay. Now, if an admitted video of a patrol video indicated 2:46 p.m. arrival on November the 30th, 2021, does that seem right to you?
Yes.
Okay. Did you speak with Mr. Crumbley?
I did.
Okay. Did you speak with him on scene there or when he was transported to the substation?
So I had a brief conversation with him or at the substation, really nothing of note. He was taken back to the residence, and that's where I had more of a, not in depth, but more of a conversation with him outside of the residence.
Okay. So I'm going to show you and play what's been admitted as People's 300. This is the in-car video that you referenced.
This one is the bottom.
Thank you.
Have a seat right now. We get those.
Why is she in handcuffs?
I don't know.
Can you take the handcuffs off from the police?
Carefully hold yourself. Okay, butt in first. You guys have to get in. It's not going to be long for those handcuffs. I promise.
Why am I in cuffs though?
Until we can figure out everything.
It hurts. Like it really hurts.
Hold on, what's that?
Why am I in your cuffs?
I don't know. I don't know. I asked them the same fucking thing.
They didn't do anything. I'm getting claustrophobic. I'm getting claustrophobic.
Honey, don't freak out in front of the house. This is going to be a lot better if you don't make the situation.
Why are they here? Why are they here? Okay, push my glass on my nose, please. Put chapstick on my lips, please. I have my fucking phone. Why are I'm so confused?
Why are you in fucking handcuffs?
You're going in?
I set it down and then I have a cop pointing a gun at me.
Why are they in our house? I'm so confused.
Dealing with this shit. Already dealing with shit. Why have we got to deal with this?
Where's the other guy?
In the game case.
Where's that at?
In the dresser.
There's Patrick! There's Patrick! 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 Patrick!
He can't hear you, Jimmy.
Patrick!
He can't hear you. He's not going to be able to hear you.
Patrick!
Jen, he can't hear you.
Welcome, Scout. Thanks for joining us. And thanks for subscribing.
Honey, I love you in case something happens. Come on out, wait, hang, I'll take the handcuffs off.
Okay, so that timestamp was 2:50 p.m. on November 30th. Does that appear right to you?
It does.
Okay. Now, you said James was transported to the substation and taken back?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. So initially, we were kind of instructed to take James to the substation and interview him. After a conversation with, I believe, Sergeant Bryan, it was determined that he had already spoken with detectives prior to us getting there, so he was taken back to the house while we were waiting for the search warrant to be completed.
Okay, so we heard testimony in this trial that Sergeant Bryan began that interview at 1:58 p.m., and this occurred after that, is that right?
Yeah, it was after
Okay.
the initial interview.
Did you have some conversation with James about obtaining a search warrant for the home?
Yeah, I had a brief conversation with him.
Okay. Did you let him know you were looking for firearms?
I did, yes.
And would that conversation have been recorded on the in-car video system as well?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been admitted and play for you. Exhibit 204. This is a portion of the in-car video from 3:42 p.m. on November the 30th.
Hey, man. Hey, so let me just grab your name real quick. I know you already got it, but I don't know who I'm talking to. Can you just spell it?
James,
Yep.
you know my middle name too?
No, what's your last name?
Crumbley, C-R-U-M-B-L-E-Y.
What's your phone number?
6483.
Okay. So what's going on is we're waiting for, to complete the search warrant, okay? So what we're gonna do is you guys, obviously, while we're waiting to go into the house, we can't have you guys go back in right now, just while we, until we get the search warrant. So you're more than welcome to either sit in here, you're more than welcome to get in your car and hang out until this is done. You're more than welcome to go get a cup of coffee if you want or something, but it's probably gonna be a little while. So it's kind of up to you, but while we're waiting for that, we just ask, obviously, please don't go sit inside the house while we're waiting for everything to be done, okay? In the meantime, can you tell me where those guns are so we don't have to rip your house apart? Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. They're in a gun case.
We're at the house.
And if you go to the very back of the very back of the house.
Where like the husky was sitting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and he's nice.
Yeah, he's nice.
And then you guys can just be cognizant of the doors. We have cats.
Okay.
Okay. But if you go into that back bedroom, there's
Okay.
a dresser on the left with the TV sitting on it.
Yep.
The very right cabinet door.
Okay.
Inside of there, there's a black gun case that's
Okay.
locked.
Okay.
And then there's some there's only a 22 Derringer
Okay.
and a 22 Kel-Tec
It's locked.
pistol. The case is locked.
How would we get into that? Do you mind if we get into that?
I mean, if you absolutely have to.
Is it got like, what kind of, a combination on
It's
it?
just
Or?
a combination.
Okay. Do you mind if we, because we're gonna have to get the guns obviously for now.
Yeah.
Do you mind if? Okay. Otherwise, I don't want to have to, you know what I mean? Just
No, I'm completely open, and I want you guys to do what you have to do. I mean,
0,
0,
Yep.
0, 0,
3 zeros.
4. And that's the only, oh, okay. And then in the bedroom to the left of the bathroom,
Okay.
there is a BB gun.
Okay.
It's unloaded,
Okay.
but it looks like a freaking assault rifle.
Okay.
It's one of those
AR-15.
well, it's not AR-15, it's something different, but it's one of those air cartridge
Yeah. Oh, I got it.
BB guns.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay.
But that's just sitting out, so don't freak out when you guys see that. It's not
I
a,
appreciate the heads up.
yeah.
Are you gonna want to hang tight, or what are you guys gonna want to do?
Well, I mean, where's my wife? I want to,
What does she want to do? Okay. Do you want to go with your wife then?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll let you know.
Am I?
You talked to Sergeant Bryan earlier?
Yes.
Okay. He's gonna call you when you guys are able to come back. Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I'll need my phone back.
So backing up just a little bit, can you tell us why Jennifer Crumbley was in cuffs?
Yeah, there was multiple, there was a few detectives, there was deputies on scene. I didn't take part in placing her in handcuffs. That would have been up to the deputy that put her in
And
handcuffs.
the deputies arrived, were coming right from the school, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Just now in this interview,
They
with
put her in
James
handcuffs
Crumbley in the back of the car,
because
told you the
they wanted to
combination
make
code was
a statement regarding
0,
her
0,
invoking the
0,
right to an
0.
attorney
4 zeros, is that right?
Correct.
15
Did you
minutes
subsequently
earlier for her
recover
son.
that safe?
I did.
Is it 4 zeros? Or
That's my
3 zeros?
opinion.
It was 3 zeros.
Okay. Did you come to learn what the default code is for that safe?
Yeah, 000.
Now, what did you find inside that safe?
Yeah, so inside the safe there was a 22 Kel-Tec handgun and a 22 Derringer, which is like a single shot handgun, was inside of the safe and it was opened up.
Okay. Once the search warrant was officially authorized by the judge, did you participate in the search of the home?
I did.
And there are actually 2 occasions on which detectives entered the home with authorization from the search warrant. Is that correct?
Correct.
So once was November 30th, the evening of the shooting, and their time was December the 13th?
Correct.
Okay, both 2021, obviously.
Correct.
All right, I'm going to take you through some photographs of the home. First of all, prior to a search warrant being executed of somebody's residence, are photographs taken?
They are.
Are they taken before or after the home is searched?
Before.
Okay. So any photograph received from November the 30th of 2021 was taken before the room was searched by a detective?
That's correct.
This is exhibit 249. Tell us what we're looking at here.
Yeah, so the initial picture, that's the front door of the residence. Right when you walk into your immediate right, there was couches and a TV in the living room area.
So I'll try to take us through the home as you would walk through it. So we have the door in the frame here.
Correct, that's
Okay.
the front door that faces East Street.
That's the front door in the living room, okay. This is 250, what is this?
It's just a wider angle. That's the couch that we saw in the initial picture, and the other couch that would be facing the front door.
Okay, so if you step into the front door and you turn to your right, this is what you'd be looking at?
Correct.
All right, this is exhibit 251, what is this?
Yeah, same thing. Right when you walk in the front door, this would be to your immediate right and kind of straight ahead. There's just the couches and then a chair, table.
Okay, here's 252, again, we see the front door.
Yep, so that would be, now you'd actually be facing the front door. That was just the TV stand, which had the TV on it towards the front door.
Okay, and you told us that there was the living room and then in the same area, you described a dining room?
Correct.
Okay. This is exhibit 272, what do we see here?
Yep, so that was the dining room. It was some Christmas decorations, dining room table.
And this photograph was taken on December the 13th, 2021.
Yes, this was not the night of.
So this is if you walk in the front door and you turn to your left, is that right?
Correct. Yep, you walk in and your immediate left would be this.
And here's 273, what do we see here?
Yep, so that'd be when you walk in, to the right was the living room, to the left was the dining room, and directly ahead of the dining room was the doorway that leads to the kitchen, which you can kind of see in the background there is the kitchen.
Okay. Here's 274.
Yep, so this would just be a picture of the kitchen, the island, the refrigerator, and then as you can see further down in the picture is the door to the master bedroom.
Okay, so this would be if you step towards that hallway, towards the kitchen?
Correct, yep, you're exiting the living room, there's that little doorway, and that's going to take you right into the kitchen area.
Okay, we'll talk more about the kitchen in a few minutes. First, I want to take you through one of the shooter's bedrooms identified as the middle bedroom. Okay, this is exhibit 206. What do we see here?
Yep, so that would be, there's a hallway, there's a bedroom to the left, bedroom to the right. This is the bedroom to the left, which is the middle bedroom. That was right when you walked in the bedroom. There was a bed with various belongings on it, and then on the wall you can see some shooting targets, or targets.
Okay, and as a police officer, you've been to a shooting range before, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, these are the type of targets consistent with what you obtained in a shooting range?
Correct.
Okay. And this photograph was taken November the 30th, 2021?
Yes.
This is exhibit 207. Are we in the same room?
Same room, just off the bed there was that desk with a TV, things all over the floor. That was the natural state of the bedroom we got in the house.
When you say natural state, that's before the detective searched it?
Yeah, correct.
And this plywood right here, can you tell us about this, please?
Yeah, so that that part of the bedroom actually leads, that would have been a window that would have gone to the master bedroom. I believe the master bedroom is probably an add-on, so that would be a window that would lead you to the master bedroom.
Okay, so we're making sure we're oriented. This middle bedroom is adjacent to both the master bedroom on one side and then the bathroom on the other.
Correct.
Okay. This is Exhibit 208. Is the same room from a different vantage point?
Same room, yep, just another little dresser there, the closet on the left.
Okay. Exhibit 209.
Same thing, just the various things on the floor, clothing, the chairs, same bedroom.
And Exhibit 210.
Yep, same bedroom, just kind of an outer shot that shows the whole bedroom there.
Sir, as a detective, tell us why it's important for someone to capture the natural state of something from different angles.
Yeah, so I mean, when you conduct a search warrant, obviously you want to be cognizant of the fact that that's someone's house. You don't want to tear the house up, but I mean, you're going to go through the house and things are going to get moved around. Do your best to clean up afterwards, but when you want a picture of this can show you what the house looked like right when you walked in. Nothing was changed and what the livable conditions were when we got there.
Okay. And is that also why you would take multiple pictures of one bedroom just from different angles?
Correct. Yeah, just so you could get a full shot of what was actually going on inside of the bedroom.
This is Exhibit 211. Is this also the middle bedroom?
That is, yep, it's the closet in the middle bedroom.
Exhibit 212, same closet?
Same closet you can see there in the bottom on the chair was the butt of the, which Mr. Crumbley described as like the rifle-style BB gun.
Okay. We'll get to that in a second. This is Exhibit 213. What do we see here?
Yeah, those are the targets I described earlier. They're visibly been used. They had bullet holes in them, multiple bullet holes in both of them. That was on the wall right next to the bed, the shooter's bedroom.
This is Exhibit 214.
Yeah, same thing, just a different angle. That's the bed to your far left, and then the used shooting target on the top right corner.
If there were any other posters or pictures on the wall, that would have been depicted in the photographs of detectives. Is that right?
Correct.
This is Exhibit 215.
There's a picture of the bed. There was clothing, some school books, there's a knife on the bed there. There was tons of different stuff on the bed.
And so where the targets that were on the wall, they'd be just where this photograph cuts off at the top. Is that right?
Yeah, just above the bottom, the
Okay.
top part of the target would be, or of this picture where the targets would be.
Okay. Here's 216. What are we looking at here?
Yep, so that's like a nightstand just off the bed, various things on the nightstand.
And 242. This is a closer version, a closer photograph of the items on the nightstand.
Yep, correct. It was various spent shell casings, looks like various caliber spent shell casings inside the plastic container, which was on the nightstand, which was directly next to the shooter's bed.
And this is Exhibit 243. You mentioned the butt of the rifle of that gun in an earlier photograph. Is this what you're referring to?
Correct. Yep. When I was speaking with James earlier, the video you played earlier, he kind of described that was the one he told me not to be freaked out about. It was the BB gun rifle that was on in the shooter's bedroom on his computer chair. And that's how it was when it was found.
This is Exhibit 244. What's this?
So that would be part of the dresser there that the TV's on. He had there was a notebook there, pencil, stuff like that. His wallet, that was on the TV stand.
In the middle bedroom still?
Correct, still the middle bedroom.
Okay. And 245, same drawer, different angle?
Yeah, correct. Looks like there's a lighter. I believe those are fireworks of some kind. And just another notebook, and that was also in the middle bedroom on the dresser there.
Okay. And Exhibit 246, we're still in the middle bedroom?
Yep, still in the middle bedroom, so that's going to be right at the front of the bed. It's a bottle, it looks like it's an empty bottle of Canada House, which is bourbon, whiskey, at the end of the bed.
Now I'm going to move on to the north bedroom. This was identified as the shooter's other bedroom?
Correct.
Okay, so this would be the bedroom on the other side of the bathroom?
Yep, so when you came out of the kitchen, you made that right. It was a small hallway. Straight ahead was the bathroom. To the right was going to be the bedroom we're going to see now, which I think is the north bedroom. And to the left was that middle bedroom, is what you guys just saw in the pictures there.
Okay, so here's Exhibit 217. What are we looking at here?
Yep, so just kind of a shot of the overall bedroom on the right, which was also the shooter's bedroom, second bedroom.
218, same north bedroom, but from a different angle?
Correct, that'd be right when you walk into your immediate left. There was a TV stand, a TV, some clothing on the floor, and on your right there you can see the bed, which had various things spread all over it.
Okay, again, this is the natural state of how you found it?
Correct.
219, what are we looking at here?
Yep, so that would be, you'd walk in, you make a left. At this point, they're kind of rounding the bed.
I'm sorry, 282, I misspoke.
It would just be the picture of the bed, and then in the far left corner there is a litter box, cat litter box on the ground there.
Just the far left corner?
Yeah, so yep, right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see, okay.
Just various clothing and other items on the bed.
219, are we still in the north bedroom?
Correct, it's the closet, clothes in the closet.
All right, 220, what is this?
It's just a bed. Again, various things on the bed.
This is 247.
Yeah, so that was a notebook that was recovered in the bedroom. Obviously, has some pictures of a rifle on it. Looks like another handgun in the bottom left there.
Okay, that's 247. That was found on the bed in the north bedroom?
Yeah, correct.
Here's 221. Are we still in the north bedroom?
Yeah, so that's just, now you're like looking out towards the bedroom. That's that doorway to the far left is the door that leads you out of the bedroom, and that open door was the open door to the bedroom that we saw the initial pictures in, just straight directly across the hall. They were both the shooter's bedrooms.
Okay, did you observe anything on the shelf?
Yeah, there were some knives, various knives on the shelves.
Okay, and that's depicted in Exhibit 248?
Correct.
And then finally, Exhibit 222. This is standing in the north bedroom looking down at the TV would be?
Yeah, that was the TV stand. I think it had a little fireplace there and various items on the TV stand.
Okay, so we mentioned the bathroom that was adjacent to these two bedrooms. This is Exhibit 223. Does this accurately depict what you observed that day?
Yep, it does.
Now, did you also participate in the search of the master bedroom?
I did.
Okay, you mentioned what you observed during that process when you secured the home,
Mhm.
but you participated in the search as well?
Correct.
This is Exhibit 224. What do we see here?
Yes, you'd walk into the master bedroom, which you'll see other pictures here, but to your immediate right in the master bedroom was the bed. And right when you walked in, this was the first thing you could see was the open gun box. And that box next to it is an empty box of 9mm ammunition. And this is exactly how we saw it when we did the initial search of the house, and then when we came back in, once the search warrant was granted, this is how it was when we came in.
Okay. And this box right here is the empty box of ammunition, the red box?
Correct, 9mm ammunition.
This is Exhibit 225. This is the same master bedroom?
Yeah, just kind of a different view, but that's, that'd be when you make a right to the bedroom, the bed was against the wall, and that was one of the sides of the bed.
Exhibit 226?
Yep, same thing, just the other side of the bed. So that far window right there on the left would be the window that would face the backyard of the residence.
Exhibit 227?
Yep, far left side of the bed there. That's the outer window that faces the backyard, and it's just clothing on the ground.
Okay, 228. This is still in the master bedroom?
Yep, so that's the door there to the master bedroom. When you walked in immediately on
This
the
is
right.
the door here?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And on the wall there was armoire. On the far, or on the immediate right was that armoire.
And this is Exhibit 229?
Yep, just a different shot. That's the door. Immediate right's that armoire. To your left in that picture is the bed.
Okay, just so we're clear, all of these pictures of the master bedroom were taken November the 30th before the room was searched?
Correct.
Now, was the TV stand searched as well?
It was.
Okay. And that's where James told you to look for the .22 caliber firearms?
Correct.
Exhibit 230, this is the TV stand I'm referring to?
Yep, so that was what James had described when I spoke with him. That's the TV stand. Right when you walk into the bedroom, to your immediate left was that TV stand, multiple drawers, and a TV on it. Within the door you're seeing, there was like a sliding glass door that would lead you to the outside backyard of the residence.
This is Exhibit 231, this is just straight on view?
Correct.
Exhibit 233, this is angled to the left?
Correct.
All right, 234, what are we looking at here?
Yep, so that TV stand we just saw, the furthest right door that was opened up, and that was where the gun box was, or the gun safe was located right there on the top shelf, as it is in the picture there.
And that was recovered by you?
It was.
Okay. And did you use the code 000 to open it?
I did.
It would open with that?
It did.
Was ammunition found on that shelf as well?
Yep, so when the gun box was removed from there, there was 2 magazines, the holster. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see there's a box of ammunition there in the back.
Okay. You say holster, what we're looking at, the object on the right, that's the holster?
Yeah, it's like a cloth holster, a black cloth holster.
This is exhibit 235. 236, were those items from that right drawer taken out and put on top of the TV stand?
Yep, so at this point, they were removed from the picture you just saw. They were put on top of the TV stand. On the left there, you can see the 2 magazines, gun magazines up, and then there's the bag with the ammunition in it. And then I think at the right there is the box for the ammunition.
Okay. And that's 22 caliber ammunition?
Correct.
Okay, did you participate in the search of the kitchen as well?
I did.
First of all, here's 237. This is what, let me ask you, what is this picture?
Yep, so the black firearm there is a 22 Kel-Tec handgun that was recovered when I opened the safe. The silver gun there is a 22 Derringer. It's a single shot gun that was also found in the safe once I opened it up. And then there was another magazine there to the far left, which is kind of hard to see. And then there's some ear protection. The orange ear protection was also located in the safe when it was opened.
So this is 238. What is this?
That's the 22 Derringer that was recovered in the safe.
And 240.
Yep, that's the 22 Kel-Tec handgun that was recovered in the safe.
Okay, so this is 276. Can you tell us what we're looking at here?
Yep, so that would be the kitchen. The pictures you saw earlier, that would have been on the right-hand side, and you saw the pictures of the kitchen. It's the refrigerator.
Okay, so I'm going to try to take us around the kitchen. Well, first of all, is there an island in the kitchen?
Yeah, so when you're looking outside of the kitchen, there was an island in the middle. There was across from that was like a sink, some shelving units, and then all across from the island was this, which is the fridge, more shelving units, all located in the kitchen.
Okay. This is 278, so this would be on the other side of the kitchen?
Yep, correct. So that would just be, when I described the other side of the island, you have the sink there on the left, the stove, and just various cabinets and other things in the kitchen there.
Did you have occasion to search in this island here?
I did.
Okay. This is 277, that's the island I'm referring to?
Correct.
All right. Exhibit 253. Tell us what we're looking at here and where it was found.
Yep, so in the far right corner there, you can see a black, which is later discovered to be a black gun box there in the far right corner.
Let me back up for 1 second. So we're talking about, I'm sorry, this cupboard here, the right cupboard of that
I
island?
believe it was, yes, the right
Okay.
cupboard, correct.
And that's 277. Here's 253.
Correct. Yep, so there in the far right corner, you can kind of see that black gun box was located there in the island on the right side of the island.
Okay, and was that removed?
It was.
Okay. This exhibit 255, what is this?
Yep, so that's just the gun box was taken out of there, and that's just the picture of the gun box. It was the gun box for that Kel-Tec, that black firearm that was found in the bedroom. This is the gun box for that 22 handgun.
Okay. And this is 256. What are we looking at here?
Yep, so the gun box was opened. It was obviously empty. Besides that, cable lock was located inside of the gun box. If you look closely, you can see the keys to the gun or to the cable lock there in the bottom part of the baggie there. That's how that was located when it was opened up.
Did you or any other detective find any other locking mechanism for a firearm anywhere in the home?
No.
You want to say this, the gun box next to the blender, what kind of a gun box was that?
That was for the 22 Kel-Tec. It was the black handgun that was found in the safe in the bedroom.
All right.
Okay. And that's in exhibit 253, which is also depicted in exhibit 255. And that's where the cable lock was contained, depicted in exhibit 256. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. All right. What are we looking at here in 257?
That's just a gaming system. I believe it was a PlayStation gaming system that was located in the residence.
Okay. 258.
Yeah, those are games for that gaming system, Battlefield, Assassin's Creed, Battlefront, just various games that were located inside of the residence for that gaming system.
All right, here's 259.
Yep, looks like those are more games, Grand Theft Auto, I'm not familiar with the other ones, Battlefield, and then a few to the right there.
Okay, 260.
That Call of Duty, Attack on Titan, some other games that would be using that gaming system.
All right, was anything searched outside the home?
Yeah, so outside of the house, there was a vehicle, a gray Kia, that was located in the driveway. It's Mr. Crumbley's vehicle. This is a picture of when the trunk was opened up, what was in the back of the vehicle.
Was there a garage or shed associated with the home?
Yeah, no garage, so the first picture we saw was the outside of the house. There was a driveway to the left of that led to the backyard, and in the backyard there was a shed in the backyard, but there was no enclosed garage or anything like that.
Okay, was the shed searched as well?
The shed was searched, correct.
All right, here's exhibit 298. Before we get to the shed, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, it's just like an overhang, like almost like a foyer outdoor area that was covered. There's a grill out there, like a seating area, which is on the back of the residence prior to getting to the shed.
Here's exhibit 299, is the shed you referred to?
Correct.
Exhibit 264, what do we see here?
Yeah, so when you walked into the shed, immediately through the door to the right, there was a couple BB guns right leaned against the wall there. As you can see, the brown one to the far left of the picture, and then the black one, which is rested against kind of the door frame there.
Exhibit 265?
Yeah, just a different angle. You can see the black BB gun in the right corner, then the brown ones right there visible, leaning against the wall.
Exhibit 266?
This is like on the workbench in the shed there. There was some BB guns recovered. That's like a Uzi style BB gun that was sitting on the bench when we went inside of the shed.
Exhibit 267?
Another BB gun, it's like a 357 style BB gun that was seated on, same thing, right by that Uzi there. You walked in, there was a big bench, and that was on the bench when you walked into the shed.
Okay. Here's exhibit 268.
Yeah, so you can kind of see the work area there in the back where the BB guns are recovered. This is just kind of an outer shot of some of the chairs and the floor of the shed.
269, where are we looking at here?
Yep, so that was outside of the shed. It was various CO2 containers which are used to shoot BB guns, pellet guns on the ground there.
Okay. Now, back in the home, exhibit 289, where was this taken?
Yeah, so as I described, when you're walking the hallway before the master bedroom, there was like a landing that led you to the basement into the outside of the house. So this was just an outer picture of that landing area. To the left of that photo would take you in the basement, and to the right would take you to the backyard.
Okay. And exhibit 295?
Yeah, same thing, just kind of a landing, just an outer picture of that. Once you go there, to the right is that door that leads you to the backyard, and if you went down and made a left, that would take you down into the basement area of the house.
Any areas of the home that were not photographed during the execution search warrant?
No, everything was photographed.
Okay. Now, we heard the video where you told James that he and his wife could leave. That was timestamped at 3:42 p.m. At some point, did they return?
Yep, so after we were done with the search warrant, they returned to the residence, and they spoke with Lieutenant Marsban. Was there for that.
Were there phone seized at that point?
They were.
Okay. And at some point, were they turned over to Oakland County Computer Crimes?
Yep, they were driven back to the high school by myself and Detective McPherson, and they were given to Detective Wagowski.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Cross.
Yes, Your Honor. One moment. Good morning.
Morning.
I'm going to take you back just to the beginning of your direct. In exhibit, I don't know if this is going to log on. In exhibit 205, there we go. Exhibit 205 is the map that was drawn, excuse me, the map that was drawn of the Crumbley residence.
Correct.
And this is of the interior of the residence, you agree?
Correct.
Now, you also looked at the exterior of the residence because you went in the shed in the backyard, correct?
Correct.
And if you recall, it's a fairly deep lot.
Yeah, it's got a large backyard.
Okay, so what you see from the street, the house is closer to the street than closer to the back of the lot. Would that be fair?
That's fair.
Okay. So it's not like a small backyard. It's fairly deep, which means that there's a lot of space between the back of the backyard and the front of the house. Is that fair?
Yeah, so there was a fairly large fenced-in backyard. I don't know exactly how big, but yeah, I mean, it was large. There was a lot of space.
Thank you. When you first went into the home, you did the initial sweep to make sure that there were no other people in the house, correct?
Correct.
And that's common. That's common practice for executing a search warrant or securing a premises.
Correct.
And in the home, you noticed that there was an open Sig Sauer box with an empty box of 9mm ammunition in the master bedroom on the bed.
Yeah, correct. That was one of the first things I saw when I walked in the bedroom.
In the master bedroom, you identified as James Crumbley's bedroom.
Correct.
And we'll look at, if you need to, we can look at the photo, but do you recall that box of ammunition was Patriot Defense 9mm ammunition?
That sounds correct.
Okay. We looked at Exhibit 300, which was the first video from approximately 2:50 p.m. in the back of the patrol car. Do you recall reviewing that video?
I do.
You would agree that as James's wife is being placed in the patrol car with handcuffs, James is obviously distraught. He's asking questions like, why are you in handcuffs? Why is she in handcuffs,
I'm
correct?
going to object to the form of the question of obviously distraught. I don't think he's able to give that sort of testimony.
Were you able to observe his demeanor?
Yeah, I mean, he was obviously wondering what was going on, asking questions. Yeah.
He was upset.
And I don't really know him. I mean, he was asking a lot of questions. Yeah,
Trying to figure out what was going on.
correct.
You watched the video more, and you reviewed that video prior to coming in today, correct?
The in-car video,
Yes, the Exhibit 300.
I've seen the video before,
Okay.
correct.
And the reason I'm asking that is because you wouldn't have seen this exchange unless you reviewed the video, which is why I'm asking. But there was a point in the video where James leans over to his wife and tells her he loves her. Do you remember seeing that?
Correct.
And if you recall, he comments, just in case anything happens, I love you, and he gives her a kiss.
Correct.
So you would agree that James had some concern that something bad might happen.
I believe at some point he states somewhere along the lines of that, so yeah, correct.
You said after that Exhibit 300 video, James was transported to the substation to be interviewed by law enforcement, correct?
Yeah, like I said, there was a lot going on. Initially, we were instructed to talk to him, and then after speaking with Sergeant Bryant, it was determined that he had already spoke with them, so he was brought back at that point.
Right, so either on the way or once you got to the substation, you learned that James had already spoken to Sergeant Bryan prior to you all arriving at his residence, and so you took him back to the residence.
Correct.
Exhibit 204 is at approximately 3:42 p.m. Oh, let me go back to Exhibit 300. There was a point in that video where James makes the comment to his wife about not talking without a lawyer. Do you remember seeing that?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you know that if somebody is being suspected of a crime, you've been a detective for a while, is that fair?
Fair.
Okay. You know that if somebody's being suspected of a crime or suspected of doing something wrong, that they have the right to counsel.
Correct.
Asking for a lawyer or wanting a lawyer doesn't mean anything other than I want a lawyer with me, is that fair?
Fair.
Okay. Exhibit 204 is after that initial video with James and his wife in the back of the patrol car. You agree with that?
Is that the video where I was speaking with him?
Yes, at 3:42 p.m.
Correct.
At that point, you're waiting for the search warrant to be signed by the court.
I am.
And you talk to James, and you have a couple of exchanges, and then you ask him if he's willing to tell you where the firearms are, correct?
Yep, I kind of explained to him that he could sit in the car, he could go sit in his car. He didn't have to stay where he was when he was talking to me, and then after that, yeah, we had the exchange about where the weapons were in the house.
And he used the word absolutely, if he would be willing to tell you where those firearms were, correct?
Yeah, he was cooperative when I was speaking with him.
He told you that they were in a gun case
Correct.
that was locked,
Correct.
that it was in the back of the house, the room in the back of the house,
Correct.
in the TV stand.
Correct.
He told you that it was the right cabinet door,
Correct.
that the gun safe contained a .22 Derringer and a .22 Caltech.
Correct.
And then he gave you the combination, but we would agree that he actually added a digit to the combination.
Yeah, he told me there was 4 zeros, and there was 3 zeros to get inside the safe.
And it's obvious by looking at the gun the gun safe that there's only 3 numbers on it, right?
Yeah, the dial has 3 numbers on it.
So you couldn't have added a 4th number.
Correct.
You would agree that there was a lot going on at that moment
There was a lot going on at that moment.
for both you and also Mr. Crumbley.
Correct.
Through your involvement in this case, you're not aware that anyone else in the house had knowledge of that combination. Is that fair? You don't know if anyone else had it.
Yeah, I don't know.
And James also made comments to you about being completely open and wants you to do whatever you have to do. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you said he was cooperative with you.
When I spoke with him, he was, yes.
In fact, he even commented and told you about that rifle-looking BB gun that was in his son's room and wanted to assure you that it wasn't what it looked like.
Yeah, he told me before going in the house that there was going to be that rifle that was a BB gun sitting in the shooter's bedroom, correct?
There was some exchange, and it sounded like James was going to leave the premises with his wife, but said that he needed his phone back. At that point, you all had taken his phone, if you recall.
Yeah, so I at that point did not have his phones, and I honestly don't know who had the phones at that point, so I don't recall.
You knew at that point that he didn't have his phone, based on his statement to you.
Yeah, I knew that at that point his phone was not on this person.
And we'll get back to that in a minute, because you did talk about that a little bit more. In Exhibit 215, which is a photo of, I believe I think we call it the north bedroom, the middle bedroom. There, you commented that there's a knife on the bed. It was a butter knife, correct?
Yes, correct.
Exhibit 244, which is also in the middle bedroom, is a photo of the open desk drawer. And there's a notebook, colored pencils, and miscellaneous items.
Correct.
You didn't open that notebook to see what was in it, correct?
I personally did not know.
You don't know if Mr. Crumbley knew what was in that notebook, is that correct?
I wouldn't be able to say.
You would have no way of knowing, is that right?
I don't know, yeah.
Exhibit 245 is a picture of the bed. It's a picture of another notebook in the desk. It's a green notebook, correct?
Correct.
Same questions. You didn't open that notebook.
I personally did not open that notebook.
You don't know what's in it.
I do not know.
You don't know, you have no knowledge whether Mr. Crumbley knew.
I wouldn't be able to say one way or another.
246, it's a photo of an empty bottle of Canada House whiskey next to the bed.
Correct.
You don't know how that bottle got there?
That was there when we came in the house.
Right. You have no knowledge of how it got there, who had it, who put it there. You have no idea, you just know that it was there.
Correct.
Exhibit 220 is a picture, I believe, also of this is the second bedroom, so I believe this is the north bedroom. Exhibit 220 is a picture of the bed, and that would be, is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. And that would be Mr. Crumbley's son's second bedroom. That's what it's been referred to, correct?
Correct.
Exhibit 240, I believe it's 247, can't read my own writing, is a notebook that's open on the bed. You recall seeing that photo?
Correct.
And inside that notebook, there are photos of gun drawings.
Correct.
That notebook from 247, if you recall, is the same notebook from 220. If you'd like to see the photos, I can pull
Yeah,
them
so
up.
in all honesty, I didn't have a ton to do with those notebooks. I recall seeing those in there. I don't know where that one came from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If you recall from Exhibit 220, the notebook is closed or not displayed open, and it's under some items on the bed, if you recall.
Correct.
So you didn't open that notebook, you didn't go through that notebook, you have no knowledge of what was in that notebook other than what's in the photo.
Yeah, I didn't personally at that time go through the notebook.
And again, through your involvement in this case, you have no knowledge whether Mr. Crumbley was aware of what was in any of those notebooks.
Yeah, I don't know.
In Exhibit 235 that is the gun safe, that is after you've removed the gun safe from the TV stand in the cupboard.
Yeah, I saw a lot of, I don't know what picture you're referring to, I'm sorry. I saw a lot
Yes,
of
let me
pictures
see if
there.
I can find it.
Are you referring to the one that was recovered in the kitchen?
No, this is the actual gun safe that was recovered in the, actually, you know what, let me do it this way.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
have
let
a
me see.
hard copy of it. It'll be easier for me to get to. May I approach, Your Honor?
Sure.
Thank you. I might also ask about 236, so I'm going to bring them both to you. You're welcome.
Yeah, so 235 is the picture of the master bedroom. It's the dresser where the gun safe was recovered from. At this point, the gun safe had been removed. And all of this that you're seeing, the magazines, the gun holster, and the bullets in the background were below that safe that we took out from there.
And those magazines, the two magazines, those were empty.
They were.
When you say below, they were underneath or on the lower shelf?
Yep, no, so the gun safers are covered on, on top of all that. So at this
Okay.
point, this picture is showing once the gun safe had been taken out, and that's below that.
And 236, if you could look at 236, that's a picture of the magazines and the ammunition that was removed from that cupboard, correct?
Yeah, so at this point, everything was taken out and photographed on top of that TV stand there. It's the two magazines, the bullets inside of the bag, even the box that the ammunition was in.
And I just wanted to confirm that those were the same magazines that were inside the cabinet.
Yeah, correct.
So those were empty.
They were empty.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Detective.
Thanks.
When you were discussing Exhibit 256 with the prosecution specifically asked you if there were no other locking mechanisms found in the home. Do you remember that question?
I do.
You arrived at the home after, if you recall, after 2 p.m. on November 30th of 2021.
Yeah, it was short. It was around the time of the first video we saw. I don't know the exact time, but around the first time the video we saw. The first video.
So it's fair to say you have no knowledge of what was in that house prior to your arrival at approximately 2:50 on November 30th of 2021.
Yeah, I can only speak to what I saw when I went inside the residence. I don't know what was there prior.
You can't say whether or not there were any additional locking mechanisms in the house that morning. Is that fair? You have no knowledge of that.
Again, yeah, I can only speak to what I saw and what I found. I don't know what was there prior.
Exhibit 260, you went through some photos of video games. 257 was some video game, the gaming system. 258 were video games. 259 was more video games. 260, if you recall, and I can hand you the exhibit if you'd like, was Call of Duty and a game that you weren't familiar with, Attack on Titan.
Correct.
Did you need to look at that exhibit?
No,
Okay. Call of Duty, based on your testimony, it sounded like you were a little familiar with Call of Duty.
Yeah, I don't play video games, but obviously I'm familiar just with seeing commercials, and I'm aware of what Call of Duty is.
Okay. And on the front, on the cover, it has WW2 for World War II. Is that correct?
Correct.
Call of Duty, you would agree, is a type of military video game.
Correct.
It's what would be described as a first-person shooter video game.
Correct.
And if you know, and if you don't, please tell me you don't know. A person playing Call of Duty is a person holding a firearm in the video game and engaging in combat. If you know.
Honestly, I'm probably the last person to test about video games. I don't play video games. I don't know.
But to your knowledge, it is a military video game, which is a first-person shooter military video game.
Correct.
At the end of your direct testimony, you discussed that the prosecutor asked you if James Crumbley's phone was seized, correct?
Correct.
Now, there are a couple of different ways that law enforcement can obtain somebody's cell phone. Would you agree with that?
Correct.
You can get a search warrant and take it from them, right?
Correct.
They can hand it to you, right?
Correct.
You can say something like, you can give it to me or we'll get a search warrant, and they can hand it to you, right?
Correct.
In this case, if you recall, at some point Mr. Crumbley did not have his cell phone because he said, I need to get my cell phone back, correct? While in the back of a patrol car.
Correct.
At some point he got his cell phone back.
I didn't have any exchange with him after that about the cell phones. Honestly, I don't know if he got it back.
Now, do you recall that, if you're not aware, just let me know. Are you aware that there was some conversation about James and his wife giving their phones to law enforcement and them having to obtain some sort of another phone to be able to communicate with their family?
Yeah, so at some point, Lieutenant Marsban showed up at 112 East Street, and he had a conversation with James and Jennifer about the cell phones. I don't know the specific language of the search warrant, but the phones were given to Marsban, who then he provided to me and my partner, and we took them back to the high school.
And if you recall, there was also some discussion about how James and Jennifer could obtain kind of a temporary phone so that they would be able to communicate with people while law enforcement had their phones, if you recall.
Yeah, that was a conversation I had with Lieutenant Marsban. I don't remember the specifics of the conversation, but I know they did have a conversation about the phones.
Okay, so you just know that there was a conversation that occurred where it was discussed with James and Jennifer how to obtain like a temporary phone, like a track phone or something like that.
I don't know the specifics of the conversation. I just know that they did have a conversation about it.
Okay, thank you. No further questions, Ron.
Just quickly, thank you. Detective, did James ever once tell you that the 6-hour 9mm used to commit the Oxford High School shooting was ever locked up?
He did not.
Okay, nothing further.
You may step down. Who's the next one?
Can I check in the hallway very briefly, Judge?
Yeah, can you give me a student of the week? Do you guys need a break or okay? Is it long,
She's
short?
a shorter witness, but I think we're signaling you need a break.
You want a break? Okay, 10 minutes. Okay.
All rise for the jury.
All right, you.
Retiring was prior to that. Sharon Reagan.
All right, please step up and have a seat. And then would you state your name for the record and say your first and last name?
David Hendrick, DavidHendrick.
Go ahead, Mr. Please.
Thank you. Sir, how are you employed?
As a part-time employee with the Oakland County Sheriff's Office.
Okay, and how long have you been part-time?
2 days.
All right. And prior to that part-time employment, did you work full-time with the Oakland County Sheriff's Office?
I did.
Okay, and how long did you spend as a full-time employee?
34 years.
And at some point, did you retire from full-time employment?
I did.
When was that?
Last May.
Okay, so you didn't stay retired for long?
No.
All right. In your 34 years working with the Sheriff's Office, could you tell us, please, what sort of assignments you had?
My last assignment that I had prior to retiring was the sergeant of the fugitive apprehension team. Prior to that, I worked about 10 and a half years in our special investigations unit. Prior to that, I worked in our auto theft unit. All those were as sergeants.
Okay.
Prior to getting promoted to sergeant, I worked in our auto theft unit as a deputy and at one of the substations as a substation detective for a few years.
Okay, the Special Investigative Unit, that's what Detective Lieutenant Tim Willis heads up right now, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I want to talk to you specifically about your time with the Fugitive Apprehension Team. First of all, tell us what exactly that is.
It's a team consists of a sergeant and 7 detectives who are responsible for locating people with felony warrants or who are wanted for serious crimes that they have been alleged to have committed. Those requests that come in are either from our substations at the Sheriff's Office or other agencies throughout the county that request our assistance.
Okay, and forgive me if I've asked this, but how long did you spend with the Fugitive Apprehension Team?
About 6.5 years.
Okay, and that was as the sergeant?
Yes, sir.
So you would be the individual leading the team?
That's correct.
All right. And how many members of the fugitive apprehension team were there?
I had 7 plus myself.
Okay. Is that the role that you had in November and December of 2021?
It is.
Is it fair to say that all of the individuals on the fugitive apprehension team work as a group?
Yes.
Now, I want to direct your attention to the days after the Oxford High School shooting of November the 30th, 2021. First of all, do you remember that day?
I do.
Okay. Were you working that day and that week?
Not that specific day, I was out of town, but the rest of the week, yes.
Okay. At some point, were you requested to locate James and Jennifer Crumbley?
We were.
And tell us how that happened, please.
I believe it was December 2nd. Lieutenant Willis asked me to attempt to locate both of them.
Okay. And if I told you they were formally charged on Friday, December 3rd, does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay, so Detective Willis sitting at the table here asked you to locate them?
Yes.
What information did you have at your disposal when you were given this assignment?
They're basic information. They're pictures, full names, height, weight, addresses, vehicles they drove, things of that nature.
Okay. Were you made aware that their phones were seized on the evening of November the 30th?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us please, what did you and your team do to attempt to locate the defendant?
We began looking at and conducting surveillance at their residence. Any family members that we knew of, friends, things of that nature. Checked area hotels, places that we might think they might go.
Okay. And did you locate them, you were given this assignment on December the 2nd, you said?
Yes.
Did you locate them that day?
We did not.
Were you able to identify where they had stayed from November the 30th until that point in time?
We had identified a hotel they had stayed at. I don't specifically remember the name of the hotel, but
Okay.
any hotel.
That's fine. When you received that information, what did you do?
We checked with the hotel staff to find out whether there were still guests there, whether they had checked out, and in fact, they had checked out.
Okay. So after you learned that they had checked out from that hotel, what happened next?
We continued to check area hotels, surveillance of any known locations, and eventually we located a vehicle that belonged to them at a hotel in Auburn Hills.
Okay. And when you identified this vehicle belonging to either James or Jennifer Crumbley, what happened next?
I pulled all of the team to that location and we began constant surveillance on that vehicle to check and see if they would come back for it.
Was that on Thursday, December the 2nd, or Friday, December the 3rd?
That was on Friday, December the 3rd.
Okay. And did either the defendant or his wife come back to the vehicle?
They did not.
Okay. And tell us, please, what's happening at that point in time?
At that point, we're still trying to locate them. We're still, again, checking anything, social media, anything we can find to try to locate them.
Okay. And were you able to at that point?
No, we had not.
All right. Tell us what happened next.
At some point late in the evening, and I don't remember the exact time, we were made aware that their other vehicle had been located in a parking lot by the Detroit Police Department.
Okay, so this is late in the evening on Friday, December the 3rd?
Correct.
Okay. Did you come to learn that they were formally charged at noon on December the 3rd?
Yes.
Okay, so earlier that same day?
Correct.
All right. When you learned that they were charged, what did you do personally?
Myself and one of the other detectives went to what we learned was their attorney's office and checked the office parking lot or surrounding parking lots to see if their vehicle might be there. By chance, they would be in the office with the attorney. Upon not finding the vehicle, we went in and made contact with one of their attorneys.
Okay. And without telling us what was said in that conversation, did you find either James or Jennifer Crumbley there?
Did not.
Okay. And at that point in time, they had the same attorney, is that correct?
It's my understanding, yes.
Okay. And so that was, would that have been before noon on December the 3rd or after noon, December the 3rd?
It was afternoon.
Okay, so after they were charged?
Yes.
All right. And backing us up a little bit in the timeline, it was after that that the the vehicle belonging to one of the defendants was recovered?
Yes, several hours later.
Several hours later, okay, thank you. Later that evening, Friday, December 3rd, what did you learn?
That the vehicle was located in the parking lot in the business in Detroit.
Okay, so another vehicle belonging to either James or Jennifer Crumbley was located in Detroit?
Right.
All right. Tell us what happened next.
At that point, I left one person sitting on the vehicle in Auburn Hills, just by chance they came back to it. And the rest of the team and myself went to Detroit to attempt to locate them somewhere in the area of the vehicle.
Okay. The law enforcement personnel involved in this endeavor, was it contained to just the 7 of you?
No, sir.
Okay. Tell us what you encountered when you went to the location where the vehicle was found.
Originally, when we got there, there were several Detroit police officers that had the street blocked and had the car secured in the parking lot. As we searched the area, because we had no idea whether they had walked away from the car, they were in the building, we didn't know at that point. So we were searching the area. More and more law enforcement officers arrived. Officers from the U.S. Marshals arrived to assist us, the Border Patrol, the Michigan State Police, more Detroit Police, all arrived on scene.
Okay. After the exterior of the location was searched, and I take it no one was found then?
Correct.
Okay. What happened next?
We formulated a plan to begin searching the building. It was a 3-story industrial building. We had several officers on site, so at that point we decided to begin going room to room and search the entire building.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been admitted as People's Exhibit 307. This is a photograph, sir. Do you recognize what's in this photograph?
I do.
And tell us how.
That is the industrial building where the vehicle was located in the parking lot.
Okay. So the parking lot would be behind this chain link fence to the
Yes.
right of the photograph?
Correct.
Okay. And did you and your team participate in the physical search of the interior of this building?
We did.
Okay. And now, contained to the interior of the building, again, was it just the 7 of you, or other law enforcement personnel involved as well?
Oh, several law enforcement officers.
All right, tell us about that, please.
The plan was formulated that the Detroit Police Department would search the first floor of the building. The rest of the teams that were there, we took on the task of searching the second and third floor of the building.
Okay. Now, was this done in secret, or was this out in the public, as far as the knowledge?
Oh, no, it was very obvious, very apparent. There was dozens and dozens of officers. We went room to room. At some point, we had obtained keys to some of the rooms. When we had those keys, we were able to unlock the door, announce our presence, go in and search every place in the room that could potentially hide a human being. Other rooms, we did not have keys for, and we were forced to force our way into those rooms.
When you say force our way into the rooms, can you describe what that looks like?
Yeah, there are several tools that are used to what's called breach or force a door open. There's a long Halligan-type pole like a fireman would use. You jam it into the door frame and pry the door back and get the lock to sometimes pop. If that doesn't work, we have a 35-pound battering ram, and we will batter the door lock mechanism until the door opens.
Okay. Is that a quiet endeavor, or is that loud?
Oh, it's very noisy. Very noisy.
So, specific to the 3 floors in what's the building depicted here in 307, which areas did you and your team search?
The second and third floor of the building.
Okay. And was anybody located in those searches?
Not on the second or third floor.
Okay. At some point, were you made aware that James and his wife were found on the first floor?
Yes.
Were you involved in the actual breaching of that room and the arrest?
No, that was handled by the Detroit SWAT team, I believe, handled that door.
Okay, they had already been assigned to the first floor?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And tell us what happened after that occurred.
As soon as the SWAT team entered that room and searched it and discovered the Crumbleys in that room, they were taken into custody by Detroit, and then they were turned over to my team, who took custody of them and transported them back up here to Oakland County.
Okay. Do you recall the approximate time that occurred?
Probably 1:30, 1:15, somewhere. It was after 1 o'clock in the morning.
In the morning, so we're talking Saturday, December the 4th.
Yes, sir.
And is James Crumbley in court today?
He is.
Can you please point to and describe something he's wearing today?
Gray suit and headphones.
Your Honor, would record reflect the identification of the defendant?
The record will so reflect.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Ross?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Your involvement began on December 2nd of 2021, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You were out of town on November 30th. Is it safe to say you were aware of the shooting that occurred at Oxford High School on November 30th prior
Yes.
to your involvement?
Yes.
Now, your involvement was as the sergeant of the fugitive apprehension team.
Correct.
It's also called FAP, is that correct?
Correct.
You testified that unit is responsible for locating people with felony warrants or wanted for serious crimes.
Correct.
Your unit did not get involved in all felony warrant arrests, is that fair?
I'm not sure I understand.
Sure. All felony warrant arrests in Oakland County, your unit did not go and arrest everybody who has a felony warrant. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay. And your unit did not get involved with all crimes that people were arrested for. Is that fair?
That's fair.
And let me clarify. So we know, and we heard some testimony previously, that there was a warrant issued by the court, correct?
Correct.
In this case, correct? And based on your experience, you were a law enforcement officer for 34 years, you were a detective for a number of years. You know that somebody who's accused of a crime and charged can walk themselves into a court, correct?
Correct.
With or without an attorney, right?
Correct.
And that includes for felonies.
Correct.
Their attorney, you're aware that there have been times where their attorney has arranged, sometimes with the detective, sometimes with the prosecutor's office, in various ways. Their attorney can arrange for them to be turned in to the court or the police department on a specific day and time. Is that fair?
Sure.
The other ways are involving your former unit,
Correct.
and that's done by law enforcement. The attorneys don't call you up and say, hey, can you come get my client? That's the police who say, go get this person.
Correct.
And then obviously other agencies can get involved with our other arrests as well. Is that fair?
Yes.
In this situation, your involvement was requested prior to Mr. Crumbley being charged.
Yes.
You testified that your involvement was December 2nd of 2021.
Yes.
You were contacted, and I don't know if this was clear, you were contacted by Lieutenant Willis.
Yes.
He contacted you on December 2nd of 2021 and asked you to locate James and Jennifer Crumbley.
Yes.
Now, did you learn as part of your involvement or as part of getting that initial information that there were some concerns? Well, let me go back. You're aware that after the Oxford High School shooting that people were scared. Is that fair? I'm talking people in general.
Possibly, I would assume.
Angry,
Sure.
upset.
Sure.
It was very public what had happened on November 30th of 2021.
Yes.
The shooter's name became public shortly after the shooting.
Yes.
If you recall, and you may not know, but if you don't know, please say you don't know, that Mr. and Mrs. Crumbley's residence was made public.
That I don't.
Did you learn during your involvement in this case that there were some concerns over the safety of James and Jennifer Crumbley because they were the parents of the Oxford High School shooter?
I was never made aware of that.
So all you were made aware of was that James and Jennifer Crumbley needed to be located.
Yes.
And the first place you went was their residence.
Yes.
They weren't there.
Correct.
You eventually determined and learned that they had been at a hotel in Auburn Hills from November 30th to December 3rd, the morning of December 3rd.
I'm not sure if they were there that entire time, but that's where we ended up finding the vehicle, was at that hotel.
And did you also learn through your involvement that they registered at that hotel in Jennifer Crumbley's name?
I don't specifically remember whose name it
So you began looking for James and Jennifer Crumbley before they were formally charged.
Correct.
Now, I assume in your career you've been involved in what would be considered high profile or media cases, is that correct?
Yes.
And oftentimes in those cases, is it standard practice for your department to take someone into custody before the actual charges are announced?
Depends on the crime and the circumstances surrounding it.
Your department often, and correct me if I'm wrong, but your department will often assume that a high profile case or a serious offense that somebody might run.
It is a possibility. People do.
You had no information that James Crumbley had indicated that he was going to run away or flee or anything like that. Is that fair? On December 2nd of 2021.
That's fair.
You were aware that James and Jennifer Crumbley did not have their phones after November 30th of 2021 because they had been either given to or taken by law enforcement, but law enforcement had them in their possession.
Yes.
Did you also learn during your early involvement in this case, or at any point, that James and Jennifer Crumbley had obtained track phones or pay-as-you-go phones or things like that?
Yes.
And did you learn during your involvement in this case that those phones were obtained because James and Jennifer wanted to be able to contact family in the early days after the shooting?
I was not aware of the reason behind obtaining those phones.
Did you also learn during your involvement in this case that James and Jennifer Crumbley obtained additional phones in the same phone number of the phones that were given to law enforcement?
I did learn that, but I don't remember at what point in our investigation I learned
Said that charges were formally announced at approximately noon on December 3rd of 2021.
that. That's my understanding, yes.
You do not know whether or not James and Jennifer knew that those charges had been formally announced. Is that fair?
That's fair.
You said that you went to James and Jennifer's attorney's office and you talked to an attorney.
I did.
That was not me, correct?
It was not.
Some hours later, you were notified that that one of their vehicles was located in a business parking lot in Detroit.
Correct.
It was not a parking garage, is that fair?
Yes.
It was not underground parking.
No.
It was not indoor parking.
No.
It was a gated parking lot. We can see the fence in the photo, correct?
Correct.
There weren't boxes or branches or anything covering their vehicle. Their vehicle was in the parking lot.
Correct.
And at some point during your involvement between December 2nd and December 3rd, were you also made aware that there were going to be some attempts to do an alternative to what we talked about earlier when it comes to turning somebody in, that Mr. Crumbley may be walking himself in to be arraigned on the warrant after he'd been made aware of it, if you recall those conversations?
I had conversations with an attorney, but I'm not sure what I can go into.
Yes, and I'm not asking you about the details of the conversation, just if you had some knowledge that there was an indication that Mr. Crumbley was not running, but that he was in fact going to turn himself in. Again, without giving...
Yeah.
Judge, I object to this whole line of questioning. I think it's getting close to speculating what the purpose of what a hearsay conversation would be, and it could open the door to other things.
Well, yeah, are you going to open the door to that?
I can move on, Judge. At no point during your involvement in this case were you told James Crumbley is absolutely avoiding these charges and will not be turning himself in. At no point were you told that.
There's the same question, same objection to the same question, just asked differently.
Well, and who is he being told that by?
It could be anybody, Your Honor. His involvement was requested by Lieutenant Willis. He had multiple police officers involved. There were multiple people involved in locating Mr. Crumbley. I'm just asking if he was ever given knowledge that was going to happen.
Just as a response, he's testified to what his job was. He was given an assignment, and he carried it out.
Well, I don't know, I guess you gotta be careful what you wish for, right?
Thank you, Judge.
Yeah, you know.
You indicated that the building where Mr. Crumbley's vehicle was a quote-unquote three-story industrial building, is I believe what you called it.
Yes,
That was Exhibit 307, which is on the screen. In that building, obviously from the outside, it looks kind of like a warehouse. Would you agree with that?
sure.
But you learned during your involvement that there were multiple tenants in that building.
Yes, multiple suites
Right.
or rooms.
Businesses,
Yes,
people who were regularly in and out of that building.
that I can't answer to. It was very late and there was nobody in and out when we were there.
Okay. Did you learn during your involvement that there were people in and out during the day that day?
Not at the time I was there.
Okay. And you may not be the right witness to ask these questions of. I'm just trying to determine what exactly you knew about this building.
Yeah, at that point, at that hour of the night, there was nobody coming in and out. And we wouldn't have allowed anybody to come in or out anyway.
And you learned in going into the building that there was an option for interior parking. Did you learn that?
I don't recall there being any interior parking, like a parking garage, if that's what you mean.
Right. Like a way to pull a vehicle in through a garage and park it inside instead of out in the lot.
There was a loading dock, so I guess technically you could have pulled a car inside of there, but I did not see, it was not a designated indoor parking structure.
Right. So not like a parking garage or those underground parking like we were talking about earlier.
Correct.
Okay. Your testimony was that it was obvious and apparent what was going on outside of and in that building during your search of the building, correct?
Yes.
Now, you can't say, because you really have no idea what James Crumbley heard or saw that night, correct? On December 3rd of 2021, or the early morning hours of December 4th of 2021.
I can only tell you what I saw and heard, and the commotion, the law enforcement officers, the flashing lights from the police cars, but specifically as to what he saw and heard, I can't tell you that.
Right. You have no knowledge of whether or not he saw or heard any of that. Is that fair?
Yeah.
You were not part of the arrest of James Crumbley after entry was made by DPD's SRT unit, correct?
Correct.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Adrian?
Thank you. Sir, who were you given this assignment by?
Lieutenant Wilkes.
Okay. And you were asked to locate James Crumbley on December the 2nd, not arrest him on December the 2nd. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that's not uncommon for an officer in charge to contact the fugitive apprehension team to locate a suspect, is it?
No, that's not uncommon at all.
Okay. And the goal as a member of the fugitive apprehension team is a peaceful surrender?
Yes,
Okay. Is that why you reached out to Mr. Crumbley's attorneys?
absolutely.
Okay. And there were no arrangements made to you to turn the defendant in on Friday, December the 3rd, were there?
No.
Nothing, correct.
All right, you can step down in your excuse.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next witness?
Luke Curley, Judge.
Sir, what did you say the last name?
Curtley?
Kirtley? Good morning. Would you raise your right hand? You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, you can be seated, and would you state your name for record and spell your first and last name?
Luke Curtley, Lukekertley.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning. May I call you Luke?
Yes.
Okay. We're just, one moment, we're having a little technical difficulty. Are we all set? Okay.
This one is, oh, there.
Okay. Luke, can you tell the jury what you do for a living?
Sure. I own a coffee company called Coffee House. We roast and import coffee here in Detroit.
And you roast and import, but do you do any, are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Do you do anything else with, you have a store, do you sell coffee from
Yeah.
and kind of?
Yeah, so we sell to about 100 different businesses around Metro Detroit, so coffee, tea, products like that. And then we have our own cafe up at Somerset Mall as well.
And where's your business, the roasting and importing, where's it located?
So the roasting and importing side of things, all the manufacturing is done at 1111 Bellevue Street in Detroit.
In Detroit. And can you tell the jury about what area that is in Detroit?
Yeah, so it's in a neighborhood called Island View, which is like mostly industrial buildings. It's basically situated a block off of where Belle Isle is located. So generally East Detroit is kind of the consideration here.
Okay. And I want to draw your attention to November 30th of 2021. Was your business at that location at that time?
Yes.
And were you residing near or around your business?
Yeah, at the time I was living, maybe a mile away, pretty close though.
Okay. And let's just take a moment, and can you tell the jury what this building is, how much of the space you occupy, and what it's used for?
Sure. So it's an industrial building that was built in around the 1920s. Originally they built like pickup trucks or something inside of there, but now the current owner has it basically for different tenants. So we occupy about 3,000 square feet in the building. I'd say there's probably 5 to 10 different tenants who rotate in and out every now and then. The building itself is basically split up into like 1 to 2,000 square foot units itself. So at any time, I'd say there's on average 10 tenants in that building at any given time. So.
And are they all the same type of tenants?
No, all completely different people. Like our neighbors, they like breed rare plants,
okay.
Tons of different stuff.
All right. And on the first floor, is that where you are?
Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is on the first floor, if you know?
So there's the rare plant place, and then there's somebody who packages like fine art. There's a painter who does just like hobbyist work, and then I think that's it for us on the first floor. I don't know if there was somebody else in there at the time, but I think it was just that 4.
Okay. How do you enter well, we just heard testimony that they're about parking. Our former witness wasn't sure. Can you tell the jury whether there was parking within or outside or the building?
Yeah, so you can park in 3 I would say designated areas for the building. There's one on one side of the building. There's another on the other side, and both of those entrances are gated. So you have like a little, fob to open the gate, garage opener.
Each tenant has a fob?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say every single one does, but usually if you ask, the property manager can approve that and give you one. And then people generally park on the street as well. Now there's like a dirt lot across the street that people park, but at the time of this, that was not their land. So
And
3 general spots.
was there indoor parking?
No, there's not designated indoor parking, though some tenants have garages.
Okay, let me ask it a different way, because it's relevant to what was
Sure.
happening that night. Do you use that building space for anything other than just your business?
So on the 3rd floor of the building at the time, I used our garage storage area to put one of my cars away.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
And just briefly, because it relates, what's your relationship with cars?
Okay, so I'm a
I
general.
would object to the relevance.
Your Honor,
Yeah,
if I could just respond, can I just respond, please? In a moment, I'm going to ask him about identifying the car and how he was able to identify that car. I think most people wouldn't have been able to, so I'm just trying to lay a foundation.
Well, based on my knowledge of previous testimony, I'm going to allow that.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
So I'm just a general car enthusiast. I think I've been obsessed with cars ever since I was a kid. And at the time, I had 2 or 3 cars, and one of them, it was like a nicer one, so I put it away. I didn't leave it on the street where my house was because I had street parking. So I had one of my cars that got hit. The mirror got pulled off, so I obviously didn't want that to happen to a nicer car. So on the 3rd floor, we have a garage, and so I pull that in during the nighttime or anytime I don't plan on enjoying it, driving it.
Okay,
when
so,
then I can drive my little
all right, thank you. So is there any was there any vendor type businesses in that building? And the reason I ask is it a place where customers would come and park and open to the public in the building?
I would say that it's generally not like a public building. There's not present retail in the building. There's not like, for example, our roastery doesn't have a coffee shop or any cafe component. It's strictly like a, you know, business
Okay.
For manufacturing.
And when you switched the car that night, do you remember, did you go, and were you at the warehouse that night at later in the evening?
Yes.
Do you remember about what time it was?
Probably around 10 p.m.
And is that something you would routinely do at night because of the situation with your cars, or is
Objection, Your
that?
Honor, leading.
I just tried to get out, or so that it wouldn't be a leading question.
Why were you there that night?
To switch the cars.
Okay, all right. So, talk to me, or tell the jury, what, if anything, you knew about the Oxford shooting or the Crumbleys that
Sure.
evening.
Yeah, so I was generally aware of, obviously, the news that had happened. You know, I read the news about the shooting, which I think everybody in Michigan really kind of heard what had happened at that point. Early in the day, I remember seeing a poster about, you know, the parents being on the run. And
Okay,
so,
you're gesturing your hand, and when you say poster, and first, do you remember, was that November 30th of what day was that?
I assume it was the same day that this happened.
Okay,
Earlier
well,
in the
let
day.
me back up.
Sure.
The same day that they were charged, or the same day that the event happened?
Objection, Your Honor. I don't think that there's been testimony that Mr. Kirtley is aware of when they were charged.
Okay, she's trying to, he said the same day that this happened, so she's clarifying if he means the encounter at Bellevue or the shooting.
The encounter.
Okay. Do you remember the actual day that this occurred that night?
The 30th of November, I believe.
That was the shooting. Do you remember the day
then.
what date it was? If I said December 3rd, does that make sense to you?
It seems correct. I don't know, like, if I remember it off the top of my head, the exact
Okay.
date.
Backing up, you were motioning to your hand and saying poster, and I'm what?
So I saw it on Facebook.
Okay, and what did you see?
So it was a poster. It was essentially like a wanted poster. So there were pictures of, you know, the parents, a picture of the car, the license plate was on there, and then I think just general information about what had happened.
Were you aware that law enforcement was looking for the Crumbleys?
Yes.
And do you remember about what time you arrived that evening?
Around 10 p.m.
Okay. And tell the jury what, if anything, you saw when you entered the parking space. Is it, well, first of all, when you go there at that time of day, is there usually anybody in the parking lot?
Not really. There's a couple tenants who like leave their cars there. There's like a work van for a millwork company, but generally there's not like many vehicles that hang out in that lot overnight.
Okay. So you drive into the parking lot, and what do you see?
So originally, so I drove into, if you're facing the front of the building, I always park on the right side, so there's two lots, left, right. And I just have a fob for the right lot. It's two different ones. So I pulled in, was just doing my thing. Generally, there's some cars there. So, you know, when I saw this car that was backed into the spot in the corner, originally I didn't pay any mind to it. You know, I was
Okay,
just
when you
like,
say this car, what do you mean? So you
Sure,
drove
I'm
in,
talking-
you did see a car?
I did see a car, yeah.
Okay, can you
And
tell
so
the
it was,
jury where it was?
Yep, so it's backed in it was like if I'm facing the front of the lot, it's a rectangular lot, and it was in the back right corner. So probably the furthest spot from the building entrance in theory.
And was it backed in with the front out, or was it the other way?
It was backed in with the front out.
Okay. And what else did you see?
So I saw that car there, but originally, you know, didn't pay too much attention to it, and then walked into the building, and then when I walked out of the building was when I was really kind of like met face to face with the front of the car, and that's when I remembered, you know, the original wanted poster. I saw, you know, being like a car enthusiast, I saw that, and it just kind of stuck with me. It was like a newer Kia, so I had just not seen that car in person before. So like when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's a new Kia, and when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's like that new Kia, you know.
So
like,
you can tell by looking at the front of the car, it was a new Kia?
Yeah, so if you looked at the like poster, it was like that stock image of the car, you know, you see like on websites and everything. So it's obviously the front of the car, and it was this, I believe it was the same exact color too, on the poster. So when I saw it, I was like, Oh, like, I remember where I saw this from.
Okay, one moment here. All right, so what did you do next when you came out and,
Yeah, so when I saw the car, and I was like, okay, I remember seeing that. I pulled up the poster on my phone, and when I was doing that, I was walking to the back of the car to check the plate, because I remember seeing the plate on the actual, poster. And so I walked around the car with my flashlight on, and then, obviously it hit me when I saw like the license plate on the ad, and then I was standing in front of the license plate too. But yeah, so basically I had pulled up the wanted poster and subsequently was walking around the car.
and did the license plate match?
It did.
And did you see anything else of significance in the back of the car?
So when I was looking at the back of the car, I had then noticed there was a person sitting next to the car. There's like an elevated curb that kind of sits behind where this car was, and it's like protects like a little garden area. And so somebody was sitting on the curb with their hood up. It was like a blue plaid hoodie. And I didn't, when I was walking to the car, I didn't see anybody, and also it was dark, so, I wasn't expecting to see anybody really. I thought it was just like a car at that time.
Did you say anything, or did that individual say anything?
No, they stayed kind of like turned around with their hood up. I saw them, and then I turned my flashlight off and headed back into the building.
Okay. What did you do next?
So I walked into the building, quickly, briskly, headed into my unit, locked all the doors. The lights were off at the time, so I kept the lights off and then called 911.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 302. And this is the security footage from your building. How many cameras, if you know, does the building have?
I don't know it's off the top of my head exactly, but I could tell you there's one in like the center lobby area, kind of like the general promenade where most people congregate. There is one on the side of the building, one or two on this side that we're talking about, one on the front, maybe another one on the other side, but I don't have them memorized.
Okay. So we're going to start this at 22:56, which the actual time is 10:34 p.m. And what are we looking at here, Luke?
So what we're looking at is the parking lot that I parked my car in. And so this is, when I was talking earlier about facing the front of the building and looking backwards, this is the furthest from the front of the building.
Okay, stop.
But this is attached to the building.
Who is that right there?
I assume that this is the person that I saw in the blue plaid hoodie.
Okay. And in this photo, where is the entrance that you would have gone in?
So where they just walked out of, so on the right side of the screen.
And eventually we're going to see you pull in. Will we see that at the top of the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Is that your car?
I assume so. I'll know once I see the roof rack on it. But at time checks out.
Okay. Do you see the Kia that you spotted in this image?
Yeah, on the left side there.
Okay. It's kind of hard to see. Okay. Is that your car?
Yes.
And are you parking right in front of the entrance?
I mean, not like directly in front of the door, but one or
of
two
the close
spots.
parking
Yes.
spots? Okay. All right, we see, is that individual you
Yes.
at the right of the screen?
Mm-hmm.
And is that you going back into the building?
Yeah.
Okay, what's happening there?
Um,
Did you go out to your car to look at the car?
no, I think that when I think this is when I just first noticed the car. Like, I think I just saw myself look over and just, yeah, it looks like that checks out. I was probably just grabbing something on my passenger
All right,
seat.
and that's you right there?
Yes.
Are you holding anything?
My phone.
And for the record, this is around 23:04, which is actually 10:42 p.m. And are you walking at the same pace or a different pace than you?
Maybe a
Objection
little-
under relevance.
Maybe a little quicker.
I'm eliciting just general testimony from a fact witness about what he observed. Thank you. So why are you walking at a faster pace?
Probably probably a lot of emotions going on at that specific time. You know, at the time when I first went to the car, I didn't expect to see anybody. So when I did, I was like, okay, I want to get safe inside.
Okay, and we're going to play Exhibit 303, which is the 911 call. And were you feeling any emotions during that call?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. That's something that I feel like, well, I've personally never experienced before, is like that type of connecting the dots like that. And I hope everybody else doesn't.
Okay.
It's a lot.
All right.
Call 1. Call on Friday, December 3rd, 2021, 10:43 and 14 seconds p.m.
Detroit 911, what is the address of the emergency?
1111 Bellevue Street.
Repeat the address for verification.
1111 Bellevue Street.
What's the part across street?
Lafayette and Bellevue.
Tell me exactly what happened.
The people the parents of the shooter that are running away, they're here.
Sir, I'm not sure what you're referring to. You have to be more specific. Tell me exactly what happened at the location. What's going on now?
Okay, so the Oakland shooter, the kid, has the two parents that are on the run right now, and it says, Oakland County said, call if you see anything. And I just went to go park my car and switch it around at my office, and there was a Kia that looked like their car, and I walked around and checked their license plate, and it's their car, and the woman is here, and that's next to the car.
She's the one that is where?
Sitting next to her car in the parking lot.
She's sitting next to her vehicle on the ground or in another vehicle?
On the ground. On the ground.
Okay, what kind of vehicle is this, sir?
It's a 2021 Kia, the black Kia SUV, in the parking lot.
Was anyone inside of the vehicle?
I don't know.
You said if you walked around the vehicle and looked inside. You didn't?
I walked back to look at the license plate because I saw online that car was matching.
They have the plate number?
1 second. It's DQG5203.
Repeat that plate for me.
DQG5203.
Okay. And the vehicle is parked in a parking lot and a mother is home?
Yes. It's next to my car in the parking lot. I'm inside my office now.
And the mother is sitting on the ground. What is she wearing?
Yeah. She's wearing a hoodie, but I don't know what kind.
What color is the hoodie?
I don't know. I think it was plaid, but I saw her for a glimpse and then I ran inside. I like my
So you're not sure what color the hoodie was, but you've seen her sitting there?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your name?
Luke.
Okay, Luke. We'll be in this in that area. Thank you.
Okay, I can't believe it. They're here.
Okay.
Is that, do you want me to stay on or am I?
He'll say you're fine.
Okay, all right, yeah, they're here. That's crazy, like that. Who the people are looking for?
Okay, so they'll be there to show us, sir. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Okay, Luke, did you make that call as soon as you got inside?
As soon as I got in my office.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean within 30 seconds.
All right, and I want to go back to the previous video and finish that. to show what happened after you went inside.
Yes.
That's you, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what is that, if you know?
That
Who
was
is
the
that?
person that I saw walking into the building. And so, if you asked me at the time that somebody was going to be walking in behind me, I would have told you no way. You know, the building is, there's fobs for every door. But like I said, you know, it's not a public building. And so, when the officers came by, they asked me, you know, I was like, oh, they probably took off somewhere. My confidence in them being inside of the building was, you know, limited.
You did not think they were inside, whoever that was?
Correct. Yeah, I definitely didn't think that they were right behind me.
Okay. In the call, you stated you referred to the individual as female and she.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the person's face?
No, I didn't. They were turned to their back. I think it was just like generally the figure of the person that I saw, more or less.
Okay. What happened after you called 911?
So you can see an officer in the top right getting there.
So that's pretty quick. Was it a few minutes?
Yeah, a couple
Longer than
minutes.
that?
It wasn't too bad, especially for Detroit response times.
Okay.
So when you come, or I came out and actually met them out there because I saw their lights. If it wasn't the siren, it was like one of their floodlights.
And
But I saw
when you
someone.
to out of the building, did you know where the individual was?
No,
Okay.
I did not. I assumed at the time they probably just took off.
All
You
right.
know, I was, to be honest, I was surprised that the car was still even there. I thought they
Okay.
would've
All right.
left.
At some point, did more than just one officer arrive?
Yeah, so I think it was one or two squad cars that showed up originally, and then, so there's the second one right there. So I walked them through the building to get into the parking lot, because the parking lot is closed. And I think once they kind of confirmed that the car was correct, that's when a lot more people showed up.
What's a lot?
10 plus squad cars.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you remain? Well, let me just. At what point was this over to the extent where you went home? How many?
Oh, I was there till like 2 or 3.
Okay, and were you in the building the whole time?
No, I was in the building for probably like an hour. I was in my unit, and then they had questions. You know, I was talking with them a little bit, kind of just like generally floating between the front of the building and then inside my office. And then I got into a squad car and they took me to what they called like a command post or something like that, where it was like a couple blocks away. They had set up like a central command, like HQ for other officers and stuff like that.
At some point, did you learn whether or not the individuals were taken in custody?
Yeah, like way late in the night.
Did you learn where they were located?
Yes, I did. So they actually walked me, like they showed me where it happened afterwards.
Where were they located?
So the painter that I referenced earlier on in this testimony, we shared basically drywall with them, 2 pieces of drywall. So they were right in the unit adjacent to where ours is.
And that unit, that's on the first floor, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct, yeah.
Does it have windows in it at all?
It does, yeah.
And are they facing the parking lot? Where are they
Yeah,
facing?
so if you're facing the front of the building, my unit is on the right. It faces the right side of the building. And then there's another unit behind ours that also faces right into the parking lot. So this unit would have looked, and I say looked, it's not like a perfectly clear window, it's like frosted, but would have looked into the parking lot.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Did the law enforcement that showed up, did they have lights and sirens? Were there any lights? Were there any sounds?
Yeah, tons. And you know, like we're pretty aware of what goes on, just given like the thinness of the walls. You know, there's no insulation between our walls. And then especially at night, you're aware of any lights that go down the street, anything like
Okay,
that.
you mentioned the walls and the thin walls. What do you mean? Do you mean you're aware because of noise or because of what you see?
Yeah, both. For the walls, we hear other units, other people, in the building. Like I know when other people are in the building, for sure. And
Do you,
the
just to
windows,
clear your
obviously.
testimony, you know they're in the building because you can hear them, or you know they're in the building because you see them?
Are we talking about the officers
general,
or in general?
Hold on, just let me finish my
go
question.
ahead.
This wall you share is
Mhm.
what you're trying to say, that you can tell if somebody's in there even if you haven't seen them?
Yeah, you can hear them. I mean,
Alright.
if they're making noise.
Okay. And when you were in the building for that hour, was the building being searched, or was law enforcement out in the parking lot?
No, the building was being searched at that time.
And what did you hear, if anything?
So I was in like the front of the building at the time. They definitely had guns drawn. They were searching the building. They were announcing that they were there. They were definitely making a presence.
Okay. Before this day, which was in December 3rd, I guess it was December late at night, but
Yeah.
before this occurred, had you ever seen anything discarded or left out in a hallway in the building?
Oh yeah. So in the center promenade that I mentioned earlier about like where the camera is, there's people put people put things to give away there, and then also people like store things there for very short periods of time. At the time, there was like a new Tempur-Pedic mattress that was there, or new to me, looking new, and it was sitting up against the wall, and it was there for a while because somebody had like taped a note to it that was like, "Can I buy this from you?" Whoever it was.
And how long was it there? Days, weeks?
Days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why is the mattress significant to you?
So the mattress was taken into the unit, and I saw that afterwards. So when they showed me the unit again, you could see that the mattress was then in there. I don't really know who actually owned the mattress,
Okay.
even to this day.
At some point, did you ever see the mattress again?
Yeah, so then somebody, I don't know who, but somebody took it back out into the hallway, and I think whoever actually owned it didn't want it anymore because it floated around. Like it was sometimes like in front of the unit that they were in, and sometimes in the middle of the hallway, and sometimes like on the floor. Like it was a very, it was very agnostic where it was for a while, and then I don't know what happened to it.
Okay, all right. Nothing further.
Cross?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Good morning. Morning? Morning. So, excuse me just one moment. So you went to 1111 Bellevue on December 3rd of 2021 at approximately 10 p.m. from what you recall?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
If you say I might ask you to say yes.
Last time, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. You said that you described 1111 Bellevue as an industrial building that was once used for manufacturing.
Yeah, in the 1920s.
Right.
So yeah.
On December 3rd of 2021, it was not a manufacturing building.
No, there are individuals, tenants who do different types of manufacturing, like there's a millwork company. We technically manufacture coffee, but they're not manufacturing pickup trucks in the way that they were 100 years ago.
Right. So in the 20s, it was used as basically a truck factory.
As far as I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
But on December 3rd of 2021, it was a business building.
Correct, yeah.
It was just industrial in style.
Specifically the look of the building.
Right. The look of the building was industrial, but it was not an industrial use building.
I think it's technically zoned industrial still to this day. I don't know if it's zoned mixed use, but I'm not fully positive on the regulations and codes of buildings.
What we agree on is that they're not building pickup trucks, right?
Correct.
It's not abandoned.
Correct.
There were multiple tenants in the building.
Correct.
And there had been multiple tenants for quite some time, for what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. At least a couple of years.
Okay. Where you roast coffee is approximately 3,000 square feet, is that correct?
Yeah, so there's 2,000 square feet on the first floor and an additional 1,000 on the third floor.
Okay, so the 2,000 square feet on the first floor is the space where you share the wall with the artist studio.
Yes, correct.
And then you have the 1,000 square feet on the floor, which is where you keep your cars.
Yeah, at the time, yeah.
Okay. There's also, you can drive your car in. In fact, in this video, I think we can see where your car is parked, and you can drive your car in to like is there like a garage door or something?
So not in this. So it's on the front of the building. There's a drive-in garage door.
Okay. And that's how people get to their various garages, is that?
Yeah, I would say like there aren't any other garages in the space, but that's how people unload and load their cars in there.
You said that you were generally aware of the Oxford High School shooting on November 30th of 2021.
Yeah.
You had seen media reports, I'm sure.
Yes.
You'd read stuff on social media.
Yeah.
You said that everyone knew what happened.
Yeah.
On November 30th of 2021.
Correct.
Prior to December 3rd of 2021, you saw a poster, a wanted poster on
Yes.
social media.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And you saw it on December 3rd of 2021.
I believe so.
And that poster had a photo of James and Jennifer Crumbley?
Yes.
Or photos of James and Jennifer Crumbley?
Yes.
A photo of their vehicles?
Yes.
A license plate number?
Yes.
General information about the shooting?
Yes.
It indicated, I think your testimony was, it indicated that they were on the run.
Yes, I think it was more of like a be on the lookout or a wanted poster generally.
There was a reward offered, if you remember?
I don't remember at the time.
Your testimony was that the Kia, which we can see on the left side of the frame, was parked the farthest from the building entrance. Do you remember that being your testimony?
Yes.
You also testified that there's actually a door on the right side of the frame in front of where your car is parked.
Yes, I would say that the main entrance and then the ancillary entrances, I'm speaking mostly in regards to the main entrance of the building, which is on the front.
Okay, so there were multiple entrances to the building.
Mm-hmm. There are 3 entrances to the building.
Okay, so there wasn't just one way to get in on the front of the building, there was also the door right where your car is parked. And in fact,
Yes.
we watched you walk into that door.
Yes.
You said that you walked up to the Kia on the left side of the frame, you walked around to the back, we watched you do that, correct?
Yes.
You confirmed the license plate number from
Yes.
what was on the wanted poster on your social media.
Yes.
And then you saw someone sitting next to the car.
Yes.
If you recall, that person was smoking?
I don't recall. I saw that in other news articles and things like that. But I did not say that or see that originally.
Okay. You said that you didn't expect to see anyone sitting outside of the car?
Yeah.
You expected just to have the car there empty?
I think for clarity, I didn't expect to see the car or have the car be a matching car in the first place. So there were a lot of unexpected things happening at that specific time. But that's about it.
You said that you wanted to get safely inside.
Yes.
You assumed that the person that you saw was dangerous?
Yes.
That was based on what you had seen on the news and in media reports?
Yes.
Based on the wanted poster?
Yeah. Maybe not particularly. I wouldn't say that like the poster said armed and dangerous or anything like that. Not 100% positive. But I think generally, in a situation like that, I would fear for my safety.
Based on your own personal beliefs about the Oxford High School shooting and what you had heard in the media about James and Jennifer Crumbley?
Yes.
The person sitting outside the car didn't say anything to you?
They did not.
They didn't say, hey, look away?
No.
They didn't say a word, right?
There was no interaction between us.
In Exhibit 303 you called, was your 911 call. You recall that you told the 911 dispatcher that the parents were on the run?
Yes.
And again, that was information that you had based on what you'd heard in the news and the media and what
Yes.
you'd seen on the wanted poster. The person that you encountered next to the Kia didn't say, hey man, I'm running away. You said there was no encounter
There
at all
was
with that
no
person.
interaction.
Okay. Now, right around this timestamp, 2306 on the video, which I believe is about 20 minutes earlier real time.
Mm-hmm.
The prosecutor pointed out that somebody walked across the parking lot after you'd entered the building.
Yes.
That person didn't run after you, correct?
No.
From what you saw in the video?
Correct.
They didn't chase you down?
They did not.
They didn't threaten you in any way?
They did not.
You didn't even know that they were there?
Obviously I saw them. I didn't know that they followed me in.
Correct. You didn't know that they walked in after you'd walked into the building.
Correct. I think by the time I was in my unit, I didn't hear the door shut. I didn't know if they like softly closed the door or anything, but I didn't know that they were in it.
You had no knowledge that that person had even entered the building.
Correct.
You then testified that there was about a couple minutes later, we watch, and I'll play the video too. I just want to see. We'll play the video too. A couple minutes after this 2306, or a couple minutes after you called 911, the police showed up.
Correct.
So if you look at the timestamp, right now it's 2306:54.
Mm-hmm.
And then it jumps to 2321. And then we play it for a little while, and we see what you believed was a patrol car out there outside the fence, correct?
Yes.
At 2321.
Yes.
So at that point, it had been just shy of about 20 minutes between you entering the building, at some point making a 911 call, and the police showing up.
From this, yeah.
From this video.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'd say my conception of time was probably a little skewed in that specific moment, just given the heightened senses,
Yeah, and I'm not asking you to lock
100%.
into the time number in the couple minutes. I'm asking, it actually was not just a couple minutes, it was actually more than a couple minutes.
Sure.
That's all I'm asking.
Sure.
Okay. Now, I thought I heard you say this a couple of times, but I just want to clarify. You said that you were at the building for about an hour after you made your 911 call?
More or less, I'm not 100% positive exactly.
Then
how
you
long
were
it was
driven
for.
to a temporary, what you call the command post,
Yeah. It was
that
like
law
a-
enforcement had set up?
Yeah, correct. I think there were, there was media there. There was more squad cars. There was like a massive blue bus for the police.
And then, and this was the part that I wanted to make sure I heard you say correctly. And then the police took you back to this building and walked you through
Well, my
the
car
scene?
was there, so I had to get my car. And so when I was going through the building to get my car, there were a bunch of police in the building, and they were like, "Oh, this is where they were."
And they allowed you to enter the scene? And
No, I did not enter the scene.
Okay. And that's what I was unclear about, because you testified that you had seen the mattress in the unit after James and Jennifer Crumbley got
Yeah,
arrested.
so when I walk through the center of the building, you have to turn right to exit to access this parking lot that's on the screen. And so to exit that, you have to pass by the door of where they were hiding. And so that door was open, so you could see the mattress.
Okay. Now, you talked about what you heard while you were in the building. You said that you were at the front of the building while the police were searching the building?
Yeah, so like I said, I was generally kind of floating around, because I have two doors on my building, or my unit, for example. I have like side doors and the front door. And so I was somewhere between those, or I was outside in the front.
So you know what you heard and saw, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what you observed on your own.
Yes.
You have no knowledge of what James Crumbley heard or saw while the police were there.
That's correct.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor, just briefly, do people, is there any residential unit, and I guess what I'm asking is, do people sleep at the building?
No, it's within the terms of my lease, at least. And generally, I think it's one boilerplate lease that goes across all of them. Though that is an assumption that it is not allowed, you're not allowed to sleep there at all.
Oh, okay, thank you. I want to play the video, just a portion of it quickly. Your testimony was that you never saw the front of this individual,
That's right.
but what the actual piece of clothing, how did you describe it?
Objection, Your Honor, asked and answered.
How did you describe it? You said something in the 911 call.
I said it was a plaid hoodie.
Okay, do you know what color? Do you remember what color it was?
During the 911 call, I didn't say. I think it might have been blue.
Okay, but you're not
That's
sure.
Not 100% positive.
Okay. And now I'm going to show you another image. Exhibit 304. First of all, is that the art studio, if you know?
Yeah, I've never been inside of it, but like I said, when you pass to go to the parking lot or leave the parking lot, sometimes the doors open. So I know that there's like paintings in there, and I know the general footprint of the space, just given where it is.
All right. Did you ever see James or Jennifer Crumbley, other than?
No,
Okay.
only the obviously the seeing somebody next to the car, but when they were arrested and taken away, I wasn't in the building, or I was at the like command post.
Okay.
area.
And can you describe what that individual is wearing that's not the police officer?
It looks like a blue sweatshirt or hoodie of some sort, plaid.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Free cross. Mr. Curley, to your knowledge, James or Jennifer Crumbley were not tenants of 1111 Bellevue, correct?
That's correct.
You have no idea if they had any knowledge of what the terms of the lease were, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
No further questions, Your Honor.
But they wouldn't have had a fob because they weren't a tenant, correct?
That's
Objection,
correct.
Your Honor,
Okay, thank you.
speculation.
As far as you know, they were not a tenant.
That's correct.
Thank you. Thank you. May you be excused?
Yes, you can step down. You're
Thank you.
excused.
We have a brief witness ready, Judge.
Okay. Your lunch is not here yet. I'm gonna keep them hungry. Usually their lunch is here very early. Good morning.
What,
Could you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Could you please step up? And can you have a seat? And could you state your name for the record and spell your first and last name?
David Metzke, D-A-V-I-D, Metzke, M-E-T-Z-K-E.
Go ahead, rescue.
Thank you. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Doing well, how are you?
Fine, thanks. And tell us, please, how you're employed.
Currently employed with Detroit Police Department.
And how long have you been a police officer with Detroit?
Close to 7.5 years.
Okay. Tell us, please, what's your current assignment?
Currently assigned to the Detroit Special Response Team.
Tell the jury, please, what exactly is the Detroit Special Response Team?
So that is the SWAT team for the Detroit Police Department.
Okay. Tell us, what are some of the responsibilities associated with a team member of the Detroit Police Special Response Team?
Okay, so our primary jobs are barricaded persons, hostage situations, dignitary protection, high-risk search warrant, and fugitive apprehension.
Okay. How often would you say that you engage in these sort of duties?
So I'm close to 60 barricade or hostage situations right now, and I would say a little over 200 warrants right now.
Okay. Is this something that is a SWAT team member or special response team member you do on a daily or weekly basis?
Every day. Yes, sir.
And how long have you been a member of the special response team?
Going on 4 years.
4 years, okay. I'd like to direct your attention to about 11:30 p.m. on Friday, December the 3rd, 2021. Do you recall that date and time?
I do.
And were you working or were you called in?
I was called in.
And tell us what that means, please.
So I was probably sleeping at that time. My work phone goes off because we're always on call. So it's blasting. I wake up, you look at your phone, and depending on what you get called in, so that day we were called in for a fugitive apprehension. We're told to report to the base. I reported my base.
The Detroit Police Special Response Team base?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then what do you do there?
Then I gather all my equipment up. So, you grab your rifle, your body armor, your belt, anything you need for your objective for the night.
Okay. Were you told at that point why you were being called in specifically?
We knew we were going for 2 fugitives.
Okay. And so you got to the base and then you obtained your gear?
Correct.
And what happens next?
Then I was loaded onto the Bearcat, which is our smaller armored vehicle. And then we go from there to our assigned address. Or
Okay.
wherever we need to be.
So if I understand you correctly, there were other members of the special response team with you at the base at that point?
Yes, sir.
And you said we loaded on the Bearcat, so that means other members loaded onto the vehicle as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do you recall how many?
I would say around 6.
6? Okay. And you traveled together to the location you were called for?
Yes, sir.
Would that be 1111 Bellevue in Detroit?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So give us an idea sort of where this location is.
So the closest geographic I would say would be like Belle Isle.
Okay.
Go like Belle Isle and then west off of Jefferson. It's like the closest I can describe it.
Now, do you recall approximately what time that you would have arrived there?
It was late. I know we got recalled late, like almost 12. And
12 is at midnight?
12 midnight, correct. So I would say it took me about 20 minutes to get from my house to the base, and then after loading the equipment up, probably about 25 minutes from our base to the location.
All right. Tell us, please, what you observed when you arrived at that location.
So we were one of the last officers there because there's two different teams on the special response team. There's a reactive team, the first guys that have take-homes, and they go directly to the scene.
Take-home vehicles?
Correct.
Okay.
And then the second set of the team, which I'm on, they go to the base and get all the equipment, and then they go to the scene. So we were probably one of the last officers that arrived to the scene at the time.
Okay. So when you arrived there, can you give us a number, approximately how many other law enforcement personnel you observed?
So I can't give you a hard number, but I can tell you when we pulled up in the armor, it was packed. Like I've been to a lot of stuff, right? The street was like I didn't even know what I was honestly pulling up on when we did that. When we pulled up in that small Bearcat, I was like, all right, I guess we're doing this. And there was tons of officers. The street was packed. It was busy.
Now, tons of officers. Are we talking about just Detroit or other departments as well?
I couldn't, like, once I got in the building, I could tell you more, but pulling up, I just seen a lot of cop cars.
Okay. So it's when you arrived, you made that observation. Did you meet with other team members?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And what happens next?
So I got off the Bearcat, I grabbed the Halligan, which is like a pry bar. So we're taught that you have to grab your Halligan and a ram, because you never know what you're going into.
Can you describe what those two things are, please?
Yeah, so your Halligan, it's going to have like a sharp point on it and like rabbit tails on the end of it, and it's like a bar about like this big.
Are you talking about 3 feet long or so?
I would say, yeah.
Okay.
Safe to say. Then you have your ram. We use a maritime ram, so it's probably about this big. It's like 35 pounds, and it has a block on it about that big.
Okay, just so we have a little bit of idea of making a record here. About a foot and a half long, or?
2 feet, safe to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said there's an end on it?
A square end, yeah.
A square end, and that's, what, 6 inches diameter?
Yeah, I would say safe to say, yeah.
Okay. And what is that made out of if you know?
It's enough to break the door down, so
Okay.
steel.
Okay. And you said it's about 35 pounds?
Yes.
All right. So you grab those two tools, and then what happens?
I grabbed the Halligan. So
The Halligan.
It'd be too much to carry your rifle, all your equipment, a ram, and halo. So I grabbed the Halligan. I came off the Bearcat, and then I made entry to the door. It was like a smaller door. I remember coming in and then like going left. And when I got in, there was like a lot of officers there, my team members there, guys in jeans with like police vests on, like a marshal. There was a lot going on when I walked in.
Okay, I'm going to show you what's been admitted as People's 306. Is that photograph in front of you, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you recognize what's in this photograph?
Yes, sir.
And tell me what this is, please.
That's the scene where we responded to you.
Okay. And is that photograph fairly accurately depict what that building was on the evening or the night of December the 3rd, 2021?
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, to me, you gotta think I'm coming in at 1 a.m. Dark time. It was a warehouse.
Okay.
That's what I remember there.
And here's 307. Is this the same building, just different view?
Yeah, that looks like the door I walked in. See how it's like a smaller door?
To the left of the picture here?
Yeah, to the left. Right there. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I recall walking into a door similar to that.
Okay. And tell us again what you encountered when you went in that door.
So I came in and then I went and left. And when I came in, I remember I had my team members here, which our team members, they're very like distinctive. Like we all wear black, and you have your SRT patch on, and you have your Kevlar helmet on. We're very distinct. And then you have other officers like patrol or unmarked officers. So I knew who I was going to rendezvous with my team.
Okay, so you have one standard uniform, SRT guys.
Correct.
Okay, and you mentioned earlier individuals with jeans and vests that say police or...
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
So when you walked in at that point, could you give us an idea of how many law enforcement personnel you saw?
There was a lot.
Okay. A lot is in more than 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
More than 20?
Safe to say there was, I would say, 20 if not more.
Okay. And this building here, depicted in People's Exhibit 307, there's multiple floors?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you walked in, you mentioned you rendezvous with your team.
Yes,
Tell
sir.
us what happens next.
So we moved, I met up with my sergeant, and they told us that what we're going to do, we're going to start moving through this building. We're going to be looking for these fugitives. So SRT will clear, the first level, second level, third level, and move on up. So once we got in there, I remember coming in, there was a hallway to the right, there was a hallway to the left, and then it kind of went like this, and there was like 2 bathrooms on the side here.
Okay. So did Detroit police have one specific assignment then?
Detroit Police?
The SRT, yes.
Yes, at that time, correct.
Okay. So tell us what happened going through this initial assignment.
So we were looking for 2 fugitives. We started on the first level, and we started breaking down doors.
Okay. Let me pause you right there. Breaching or breaking down doors. Tell us, please, what that entails.
So you're using that ram that I kind of explained, right? It's usually one of the bigger guys on the team. It's a specific form. It's the way you swing back, and you're using a ram specifically to bypass the lock on a door. So you're pushing it in with the forks.
Okay. Did you use this tool on one door or multiple doors on the first floor?
I would call us using it on multiple. I would say not more than 3, but I would say at least 2 to 3.
Okay. And that's on the first floor. What about on the second or third floors?
So I remember before we even got there, we had K9 down there too, which was with us.
K9 is in police dogs?
Correct.
Okay.
From there, somebody notified our team that 2 fugitives may be possibly in the second floor, and they never came down. So we went upstairs. When we got upstairs, there was another SWAT team. It wasn't. I'm not sure what SWAT team it was. It could have been a federal SWAT team.
It wasn't Detroit though.
No, it was not Detroit.
Okay.
So we got up there. They told us that there was locked doors, but they cleared the open doors at that time. So sooner or later, our team got a hold of a ring, like full of keys, and I'm talking like it was a ring, like 100 keys. And there you go. Well, these are the keys to this building. Use it, so stop breaking down our doors. So we started unlocking doors in the second story and clearing it out. And,
Okay. That's on the second floor?
Correct.
Okay, but that's after doors were already breached on the first floor?
Correct.
Okay. This is Exhibit 309, just to confirm, this is the same building, 1111 Bellevue in Detroit, just from a different view?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, correct, okay, thank you. Now, after you obtained, or your team obtained that ring of keys on the second floor, did you obtain information that the wanted fugitives could be somewhere in the building?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and do you recall where that was?
So we were notified, at least I was notified, that the fugitives may be downstairs in a particular room. So our team went back downstairs to the particular room, and we lined up. And
Okay, particular room, was it Suite 130?
I would say it's safe to say.
Okay, so that would be on the first floor. Prior to that information being obtained by your team, that door was not breached, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, were doors around that suite breached?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is that a loud process or a quiet one?
It's going to be loud.
Okay, and that's because you described the 35-pound ram and what it's used for?
Yeah, you're breaking down. Yeah, you're slamming a door.
Now, on this particular evening, December 3rd, 2021, well, first of all, let me ask you, do you recall the approximate time that you entered Suite 130 at this location?
I don't know the exact. It was late. I know it was late. I know we were clearing probably for at least 40 minutes before we got there.
Okay, and that's your particular team clearing for 40 minutes?
Yes, sir. I'm
Okay.
saying me specifically with my team.
Okay, thank you. Were you equipped with body-worn camera?
Yes, sir.
That incident? Okay. And if we had a date and time stamp from that body-worn camera, would that tell us specifically when it occurred?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to show you what's been admitted as People's 304. This is a body-worn camera from that evening. Just to confirm here, we have a date of December 4th, 2021, 1:34 a.m. And your name is on the bottom of this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you recognize this as being your body-worn camera footage?
Yes, sir.
Hey!
Do you have any weapons?
Wait. Is he cuffed over there?
Good.
All right.
Just go ahead.
On the bed. Okay.
That's 14.
Secondary.
Yep.
Secondary. They want to talk to the class.
All good.
Look at him.
Here, Mark.
This is still arrest. Out. Man, we have double checks of weapons. We're not, this is still an act. We got them. They gotta get. Pull up. Listen, everybody do this. I'm not asking you.
Sir, I'm going to stop right there. What was the purpose in looking in that specific area?
So SRT will clear out, make sure there's no weapons, or if there is weapons, we'd like it to be known before like detectives or patrol would come in.
So SRT's responsibility would be, in this situation, would be to find and make secure the fugitives, but not to search the location?
Correct.
Okay.
I can't do it all day. These are
Here, bro. No, never mind. Hey, Woody.
just step on the back, push it down.
Put your hands together like your friend. Hands back together like your friend. Double lock those. Diamonds in your pocket?
No, I can't see it. That's why.
You search her?
Yeah. Yeah, right to that? Hey, you have a female? Yes. Mamas, here. No, he was on it. Listen, that go back. Should have said. No, we're going to tag.
Guys, stand the open safety, no big ones.
The search of the male fugitive's person, that's for weapons. This is where it found.
Not that I can recall now.
She did? Yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah. You be out there with it? Yeah. Come on, man. Was it? 2806? 2806. No, something will come out. Hey, Liz? Yeah. Come with us. What are you doing? Come on, son. All right, you good?
I'm just gonna pause it for a second. At 1:42 a.m., 22 seconds. This is the hallway right outside of the suite where they were found in that location?
Yes, sir.
Okay, does this give an idea of the number of law enforcement personnel outside of that suite at that time?
Yes, sir.
And appreciate it. Nice work.
Thank you. I have nothing further, Judge.
Cross.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Your role with Detroit Special Response Team, one of the things that you do is fugitive apprehension.
Yes, ma'am.
Fugitive apprehension is typically when there's a person who is not coming in to address allegations or charges against them, correct?
I would say that's
Okay.
correct.
Usually, fugitive apprehension is you get involved when it, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Okay.
if it becomes clear that that person is not going to come in on their own.
I'm just going to object to the form of the question, Judge. He's testified that he gets notified of when to report to base. He's given an assignment, and he does the assignment.
Yeah, are you the one who decides that?
No.
In fact, you receive information from your supervisors,
Yes, ma'am.
and you have no knowledge of the truth to the information that you receive. Truth or inaccuracy, either way.
Man, I believe my supervisor's not to lie to me, so I'm listening to their order.
So you get a phone call, and you go to the station.
Yes, ma'am.
You testified that there were, I think you said, tons of officers at 1111 Bellevue on December, well, it would have been December 4th of 2021.
Yes, ma'am. Yep. December 4th. Yes, ma'am.
You knew that there was a shooting at Oxford High School on November 30th of 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
You had seen media coverage about it?
Yes, ma'am.
You were aware of it?
I believe so, yes.
Were you also aware that James and Jennifer Crumbley had been charged in connection with the shooting on November 30th?
I can't say I remember or not.
Okay. You don't specifically recall seeing that they were charged?
Is that a no?
No.
Thank you, Your Honor. Exhibit 306 was a photo of the exterior of 1111 Bellevue. Your testimony was that you remembered it as a warehouse.
Yes, ma'am.
You learned that it was actually a building that had multiple businesses in it, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You knew who you were looking for in 1111 Bellevue that night?
Yes, ma'am.
You had been given photographs?
I believe so.
Descriptions?
I believe so.
You knew that they were the parents of the Oxford High School shooter?
Yes, ma'am.
And you received that information from your supervisors or from the other officers when you arrived on scene?
Man, I would say it's safe to say our supervisors.
Okay. Because the reason I asked that is because you testified that when you pulled up onto Bellevue, you didn't know what you were there for. So I wanted to clarify that before you entered 1111 Bellevue, you were given information about why you were entering.
I knew I was going for a fugitive apprehension.
And who it was?
No, at the time I made entry, we found out pretty much who it was, I would say.
Okay. Entry into the building?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You testified that you received information while you were inside of Bellevue that the individuals may be on the second floor and may not have come down. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes, ma'am.
That was not true, correct?
Yes. Yes.
You learned that that was not true.
Yes.
The video from your body-worn camera, which starts at 1:34 a.m. and 20 seconds on the timestamp, or it looks like 18 seconds on the timestamp, it's quiet when your video starts, correct?
Correct.
You can hear
Yes,
like a little bit of your movement with your equipment and stuff, but otherwise you don't hear yelling, you don't hear any other sounds, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You would agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
You recall when you entered the unit, obviously it was dark.
That's it. Yeah, didn't leave it.
You don't recall seeing police lights in the windows of the room, if you recall?
Yeah, ma'am, I wasn't paying attention there. But
You were looking at the people that were on the bed, right?
yes.
In the middle of the room.
Yes, ma'am.
In fact, when you entered the unit, when you and your team entered the unit, James and Jennifer Crumbley were laying on a mattress in the middle of the room, which we saw.
Yes.
James was laying on his side, if you recall?
Uh,
If you recall.
I mean, it appears to be in the video.
They weren't covered with boxes or anything like that, correct?
No.
There was I think Jennifer Crumbley had a blanket on, otherwise James was completely uncovered.
It's safe to say.
He slowly rolled over as you all were giving him commands, correct?
It looks like that. I think I was paying more attention to Jennifer.
Okay.
So
You don't recall him doing anything that would cause you all to be concerned. He didn't jump up, he didn't start to run, he didn't become combative. None of that happened from what you recall.
I would say he did none of that, but as far as our team goes, we're trying to take every caution as it is. We treat every person the same. We come up high, and then their reaction is how we go.
And safe to say when SRT gets involved, it's typically, and you talked about high risk, dangerous, so you're going into these scenarios already at a heightened level of concern or security or awareness. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
You don't walk into the situation without all of your uniform on and your equipment and everything else thinking, oh, this is no big deal.
No, we don't do that.
Because when your unit gets involved, typically it gets involved in situations that are serious.
Correct.
And you guys are given information about situations that are serious.
Correct.
You guys meaning your unit.
Yes, ma'am.
You can hear yelling, if you recall. You hear yelling on the video, and if you know, you later learn that that was James Crumbley.
Okay.
He wasn't yelling at officers.
Okay. Yes,
You-
ma'am. No,
you
yeah,
recall
he
that?
Yeah, he didn't seem to be yelling at us.
Okay. He was just making sounds. It sounded almost, and if you know, if you agree, it sounded almost that he was in pain.
Safe to say.
And again, the mattress was in the middle of the room. James and Jennifer Crumbley were on it.
Yes, ma'am.
They weren't hiding in a corner.
No.
They weren't hiding behind any of the raised countertops that were in there.
Nope.
They weren't hiding behind any of the the paintings that were in there. They weren't covering themselves with blankets.
No, ma'am.
If you recall, your unit received information that James and Jennifer Crumbley may have a weapon with them.
Yeah, so, ma'am, I don't recall. We just treat every person that we're going after as if they're possibly is a weapon.
Now, you all searched that unit and you did not find any weapons.
No, ma'am.
And you searched both James and Jennifer Crumbley and there was nothing found on them either.
Somebody did. I didn't. But somebody did.
Somebody searched them.
Correct.
Okay. And we talked about this a little bit at the beginning. It's not your job to verify whether or not the information that you receive is accurate, correct?
Correct.
Your job is to get the call, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You go to the base,
Correct.
you get your equipment on, you load into whatever vehicle you're taking, and you go to the scene that you've been called to.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when the investigations are being done by your own department, you tend to have a little more information at the beginning. Is that fair?
Me, myself.
Your unit.
So, yes, ma'am. I would say normally during times that we get called out, it starts high and then it comes to us. If that makes sense.
High in the rankings.
Yes, ma'am.
So it would go to your supervisor or their supervisor and it gets filtered down to you.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you recall, at around 6 minutes and 40 seconds on the video, I don't remember what the timestamp was, you can hear James Crumbley say we were leaving at 7 in the morning. Do you remember hearing that in the video?
I'm going to check with that, Judge. There's been any testimony of that, nor has there been any indication that that happened.
It's on the video, Your Honor.
Well, then I think the video should speak for itself for the jury to make the
And
determination.
ladies and gentlemen, you can rely on what you see in the evidence and on the video, all right?
Do you recall hearing that on the video?
Man, we can run it back. But,
Okay.
no.
I can put it there. It's at 6:24.
This is 3 or 5, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. I don't know if that audio is working. Oh, I don't know, can you hear it from this?
Yeah, so this is the second time I've watched the video, so yeah, I can.
But again, this witness can't interpret what he thinks somebody else may have heard. His camera, obviously, is 3 people away from where James Crumbley's in the video. The video would speak for itself.
It does, she has to convert it.
And he asked me to play the video back, Your Honor.
Now, he said, if you want to play it back, go ahead. I mean,
Well, she
in
didn't.
response to a question of, did you hear that?
Okay, so did you hear it?
Yes.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Read right.
Sir, did you learn that they had active arrest warrants at the time you arrived on scene?
I don't recall. I
In
would
order
say-
for a fugitive arrest to occur, you need active arrest warrants.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And why would you be quiet right before you entered suite 130?
So that's a form of a tactic. So we're trying to do, if you can see we use keys, correct?
Yes.
You can have 2 options. We could ram the door, we could throw a flashbang in and cause diversionary, or you can come in and be quiet. It would be a shock effect that way. So our supervisors made the decision to use the keys, unlock it, and use it as a surprise effect.
So everyone being quiet in the hallway, that was intentional as a tactic before you entered this particular suite?
Yes.
Now the using the ram, that wasn't a quiet tactic, was it?
No.
Okay, so the noise level that would have been depicted before those doors were breached right around this suite here would have been much different?
Yes.
Thank you, nothing further.
Briefly, Your Honor? You have no knowledge of your own whether or not James Crumbley heard anything that was going on outside of that suite, correct?
No.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, you can step down and you're excused.
Thank you.
All right, can I have you return at 1:30 after lunch? Don't discuss the case with anyone, don't research anything.
All right, so that is going to conclude the AM session of the stream. We're going to take a small break. Even though the PM session has started, we're going to take a little break there before we get into the PM session and get caught up with that. We'll still be probably running a few minutes behind, but we're not going to be that behind. But I wanted to get into one thing before we left, because obviously right now we are in, and I wanted to point out this is the instruction the jury will be faced with when considering the evidence that we've seen here. Because right now, as I thought they would be doing, they're going to put on the evidence of fleeing, and then this is going to be it. I believe the next witness might be the final witness, at least it was in the Jennifer Crumbley case. So let's jump into the justice computer. Here we are. Flight, concealment, escape, or attempted escape. These are the three different things right here, the factors that they're going to be instructed on. There has been some evidence that the defendant ran away and tried to hide after she was accused. It'll say he was accused of the crimes, but this is Jennifer Crumbley's instructions. 2, this evidence does not prove guilt. A person may run or hide for innocent reasons such as panic, mistake, or fear. However, a person may also run or hide because of a consciousness of guilt. You must decide whether the evidence is true, and if true, whether it shows that the defendant had a guilty state of mind. The guilty state of mind in this case is irrelevant because it's all about before this happened. So what they did after the fact does not contribute to whether or not they felt they were guilty of a crime. In this case, their son committed a mass shooting. The entire community is up in arms. Their house is flooded with press. They've got death threats coming in on all their social media. They don't even have their phones because the police have them. They're running around with burner phones. They're concerned about a mob mentality, and it's been announced that charges have been filed, and their attorney has told them, turn yourself in. They were staying at a hotel that was around the corner from the courthouse, and they decided to relocate because it had leaked out where they were at. Okay, so clearly, if they had been found 7 states over or in Florida or had been gone for days, that would be, flight. Maybe they could have been charged with fleeing, but they weren't charged with fleeing because they weren't fleeing. And this evidence, clearly it says, this evidence does not prove guilt. A person may run or hide for innocent reasons such as panic, mistake, or fear. Fear being the one I believe that was in place here, and panic because they're like, oh my goodness, the entire world thinks we provided our son with the firearms, and they're being portrayed in the media as these horrible parents, and people were threatening them. So this evidence was put up again. Why do these police officers go into a area? They could have contacted their attorney and said, we believe your clients are in this place. Could you call them? Could you let them know? Could you have them walk out? Could you, again, a multitude of different various things. Clearly, Shannon Smith was aware of where they were at because that almost came out in the previous trial, or at least I believe she did. So they did this for the simple fact that's why they had body-worn cameras. That's why they pull up with the stormtrooper cavalry mentality, and they run in there, busting down doors or opening doors, surprise effect, and they wanted to just get this thing on tape so they could do exactly what you're doing. Because otherwise, what the heck case do they have? This case could have been presented in an afternoon if you're looking at the evidence that they have, which is almost non-existent. It's, hey, here's some cell phone. I mean, one of the reasons why, if you take away if you take away the evidence of showing the people that experienced the crime, one of the reasons why they had to bring that in and they were not willing to stipulate it is because there would be no case. There would have been nothing to present. So they said, we have to do this. We have to present how it went down. We need to bring in the teachers. We need to describe all this stuff. Look, it would have been the school counselor, the dean of students, the police officer that said these are the alleged text messages. These are the tapes. It would have all been done in probably a day, maybe 2 days, and it would have been a really lean case. It certainly wouldn't be looking like this sinister case like they're presenting now. Instead, they come on and they say, okay, let's show you how it happens. Here's this gunman running around crazed. Here's these parents. The same guy is saying, I'm going to tell my parents I have mental problems, although it's 7 months before, but they can tie in and say, oh my God, look what he did. And look who's texting. And that's why they call him the shooter. The shooter is texting his parents. I mean, it sounds so much more ominous, so much more terrible. All of this is just a psychological operation on the jury because they know they have no evidence. And, it's really sad because this is exactly what our justice system and justice process is supposed to protect them against. Because again, the state is supposed to come in and defeat the presumption of innocence. What they've tried to do is create a presumption of guilt and say, okay, you see all of this, you see the fact these kids died. Are you going to not give them justice? Are you going to really say that these parents shouldn't be held accountable? They bought the gun, and whether it was really criminal when they did that or not, it doesn't matter. If they would have never bought this kid a gun, it could have never happened. And the problem is there's no law that says that. There's nothing that criminalizes the purchase of that gun and having it in their house. So they had to get creative, and they did. And they found their way to a trial, and now they found their way, obviously, to one conviction. And it's going to be up to James Crumbley's attorney to argue this case. And again, make the case that you've got to walk through the door of foreseeability. If you don't walk through that door first, you don't get to doors 1 and 2, which are the 2 theories of the case. And of course, these instructions, when you read Jennifer Crumbley's instructions, they're extra confusing when it comes to all of that. They don't clear that out. They don't clearly lay that out. They could have been laid out in a different way, but they're not. And the judge doesn't instruct on how to on how they have to actually go through deliberations. In these instructions. And like I said, in Jennifer Crumbley's case, the jury had no guidance whatsoever because you just had the chaos of Shannon Smith, who I don't think presented well to their jury. Now, this attorney for James Crumbley has presented exceptionally well. She's presented like she's prepared. She knows her case. She has a lot of knowledge. She's going to be able to stand up in front of that jury and say, listen, here's what this case boils down to. Here's where it comes to. You've got to find the James Crumbley who you heard on this tape talking about the various different tools that he was providing his son to help make himself feel better. You can tell this was a guy who was tuned in with his kid. I mean, listen, sitting in that office, the fact that he actually leans across in the presence of those counselors and says, listen, you have X, you have Y, you have the notebooks, you have this, you can talk to me. I mean, exactly why are we sitting in this courtroom at this point? That is exactly what we would expect a parent to do. And he says, well, we would expect the parent to have gone and gotten him treatment that day. Well, those guys, if that was available, they could have said, hey, listen, take him out, leave. But clearly, those counselors know it's not possible. It's not possible to have that type of treatment available in the same day. Never going to happen. And they could have absolutely just said, listen, he's got to leave. He drew a violent paper. He's got to get the heck out of here. Those guys, those counselors, that dean of students, the bottom line was nobody would have ever thought Ethan Crumbley would have done something like this. Not his parents, not the school, not anyone that came in contact with him. He was a little bit of a socially, maybe not a socially active kid as others might have been. He was a little bit awkward. He was a little bit, just not as socially inclined as some kids might be. But he did not pose or present as a kid that was going to shoot up a school. And his dad wouldn't have thought that. His mother wouldn't have thought that. His teachers didn't think that. Even the lady that confronts him in the hallway doesn't think that. How Shannon Smith wasn't able to convey this to a jury, I have no idea. But like I said, they got confused. They believed that there was one issue in front of them, and that issue was securing the firearm. And they didn't understand that you don't get to consider securing the firearm. You don't get to consider the duty of care. You don't get to consider either of those issues until you deal with and walk through the door of foreseeability. And once you walk through whether it was foreseen or not, then you get to consider those. That's what she needed to really stand up there and say, and have a reasonable doubt cards and say, if there's a reasonable doubt as to whether or not it was foreseen, you must find Jennifer Crumbley not guilty. But it's only once you determine it's beyond a reasonable doubt that she would have foresaw that this was going to happen, that she could have foreseen that this was going to happen, Then, once you move past that, now you determine what theory do you believe exists? What negligence do you believe exists? It's a two-pronged test that's got to happen. And I hope Muriel Lehman is going to be able to really convey this to the jury, get a not guilty verdict, and really cause a whole lot of controversy. Because if James Crumbley is acquitted and Jennifer Crumbley is convicted, boy, does the state of Michigan have a absolute problem on their hands. And I will love it. I will love it because it's exactly what they deserve to have. It's exactly what that Karen McDonald deserves to have on her hands for even bringing this case against these parents. Anyways, we're going to go on break, guys. I will see you back in a little bit for the PM session. And I appreciate everybody that's joined me. Like I said, we will have up the members only stream again behind the stream so that you can come in and ask me questions, see if you want any coverage, additional things covered. I'll bring it on the mainstream. So get your membership now. Get in there and increase your relationship here with the channel and get access to the full experience. Anyways, till then, guys, I will talk to you soon. Let justice prevail, and I'll see you in a little bit.
When the lights go down, I've seen hell in you, but you don't care, no, you don't care, no. You just rather watch me fall from a quarter mile. I can see you at the call. Think about it, ring won't tell you what I saw. When you break it off, you'll see who had it all. You had it all. You said you wanted to fall into oblivion. Forget about the world we're living in. Fall into oblivion, oblivion. I'm going into oblivion. Fall into oblivion. Forget about the world we're living in. Fall into oblivion, oblivion. I'm going in.